here one more time. But yeah, man, the market is a funny thing, and it looks like it's going to get even funnier for us right now because it's trying to make some new lows. We did not, of course, we talked about this obviously on the show. We did not get any information today as far as.
Well, we technically did.
Well, I guess we gave it.
Decision.
Yeah, that's true.
No decision.
True, no decision is a decision.
On the Supreme Court, that is.
Yep, on the Supreme Court. So no decision today on that, but there is a decision coming at some point. We just don't know when. So yeah, decision. I don't want to say imminent, but when was it supposed to be? Last Thursday, and then it got
they pushed it back.
So yeah,
they schedule when they make their decision. So I guess they're just putting it off. And they're going to kick it down the line, and then maybe we'll just keep playing whack-a-mole with this decision. I don't know. Yeah, the way I see it, the next time they announce we're going to get a decision on tariffs, I'm not going to be all that primed for it. If it happens, it happens. But I don't think you want to focus your day around, well, 10 o'clock. Yeah. We're going to get it. We're actually going to get an action on it. Maybe play it as if you're not going to. Might be a way to go. Yeah, so maybe watch some of the retailers. They had been flying around. Note Target moving to the upside. Walmart bounced heavily off the lows before the market did. So there could be some strength going into a few of the retailers, just not Shopify. Let's go over to the midday. It is not Joe. Joe, recover well. We know he will for sure. But it is Sharif and Obi. Obi with the hoodie. Ooh. It's going to be hot in that hoodie, bro. Oh, yeah. Are you crazy today? Yeah, it is hot. It's hot in here. It's not. It is definitely hot in here.
Little Nelly action. Okay, it's hot in here. Yeah, what's going on? We are very happy today. Trust me, my guy Joey. It's been a great day. Let's talk later. It's 2 p.m. We're back, but right now it's 11. See ya. Thanks for watching. Let's go over to the midday show.
And boom, greetings and salutations, beautiful people. Welcome to the Midday Show. That's your boy, Obi. He is the freaking one, Kenobi, and I'm Sharif. And I saw we had a lot of early birds in the chat
man's
today.
not hot.
You're not hot.
Man's not hot.
Man's not hot. Shout out to Don Sharifo and Conservative Movement. We got Davey, B911, and T, what's up? Trader 604, Baby Hands Donnie, and Bob Beck. Yeah, don't ask me. I'm just reading the names, baby. Yes, Ja Al Press. We got HD. We got Commodity King. Shout out to Happy Coder and Lemon Family. Andrew Chow is joining us. Well, Mike PD right there. And the Fluffster, Fluffy Hippo, gracing us with her presence. We got Sit and Spin. Joey Gets Distracted, and Monroe. Shout out to you guys. You guys are making me chuckle. Shout out to Yannick, Tony, Kukoc. Remember, weren't you in the 90s? Logo Trades. We got Ahmad, Kirk D, let's go. John Baker and Lee, the freaking conductor. Shout out to Vizbot and the Mag 7 guy. I like that name. We got A. Holt, Ed of the Woods. Okay. Elcon Radical, let's go birding. Shout out to Dexter Smith in slow motion, Frank's Trades as well, and Common Sense. Shout out to everybody in the chat. Hope everybody's having a fantastic morning. I was notified by the Katina man as soon as I arrived that the markets be dropping, and oh baby, they are, with the Qs leading the way, down 1.5%. Really followed here by the SPY, down about 1%. But you know we're not going to be looking at any of that, at least not on this side of the desk anyway. We're going to be looking at the small cap. So we're going to give Ob, he is the one, Canope, to kind of get an opportunity to set up. And speaking of Ob, we all recall on Monday, one of his calls was SIDU, and more in agreement I could not be with him in the long term. But today, SIDU looks a little bit different. It's looking real good, 15 and 3/4, I should say, Ob, in the Ville of Green, 362 high, up into 358 it goes. It's looking real good, man. We got an initial bull flag breakout right at 930, and that kind of continued until about 350, the price level 350, and then, nope. Not good enough. We got to drop down a little bit, holding the 3 3/4 though. But there it goes, up into 3 2/3. The 10 EMA on the 5, off which I'm going to be looking at chart 342. But it's going to be a zone, right? We talk about this all the time. When the psychological area of support or resistance doesn't jive with the technicals, and that's one of those cases right here where we have 350 being the psychological area of support. Down below that is 342 where the 10 EMA is. So I'm going to be looking to pick up some here on the DO. Let's see if ride this maybe into $4 if it really gets going. But SIDU is only one of the names I'm looking at. BNAI should be on your scanner, as Sadly, this is the leading gapper in the market after, well, that's not exactly true. ROLR is, but it's not doing a whole lot. We'll get to that in a second. But BNAI had a nice breakout right at 930 into 675. It's losing VWAP, though, and it's also putting in an unbroken pattern here of lower highs. You needn't be a chartered market technician to see the plethora of lower highs. So what I'm going to do is exactly what we did on EVTV yesterday. We're going to wait for that trend break, a decided break of that lower trend line to change, and then we're going to work our way in, so long, of course, as it's trading above the volume weighted average price. I am talking about BNAI. MSW, probably going to lose its spot on the side chart any moment over here, but I'm looking at taking one of these off because I want to put on the one I just spoke about, Roller, ROLR. We're going to take off ASI because ASI just lost VWAP. I'm going to leave it up on the watch list on the side, but this is Roller. This is up 320%. So, you know, it's kind of at the volume weighted average price right now, so it does meet one of my criteria. The one it fails, though, is the price of the pre-market high. That takes us all the way up into about $20.66. And so we're not above the pre-market high, we're above VWAP, nor have we broken this, this very, very clear lower high trend. Again, it's gonna really have to change its tune before I get involved. I could be persuaded to get maybe a couple of dip trades off 14 or the volume weighted average price at 13 2/3 if I like what I see. But ideally, this breaks the downtrend, starts putting in some higher highs, maybe above 1650, give or take, and then we'll have a dalliance with this one if it's warranted. So Roller also in focus. So I mentioned SIDU, Barks has bite. Remember that? Remember Barks has bite commercial? Remember Barks the root beer? Remember Barks?
No, honestly, no.
Well, the child probably no.
Maybe, yeah.
But because I'm ancient. Do you remember the commercials? Barks has bite, man. Yeah, and they're still around. So,
they still have a bite. Yeah.
They still have bite. All right, I don't feel too bad now. KULR is the other one I'm looking at over here. Look, none of these ones look all that good, but you know we're going to be a little bit patient. Unlike yesterday, where we just insisted on getting into a trade despite maybe things not setting up that well. But KULR also kind of hanging around that $4 area. It's been putting in some higher lows ever since bouncing off the low of the day at 368, trading above $4 now, and looking kind of maybe to test that 4.25. Shout out to Chuck of all trades. He knows what I'm talking about. So does Sandburn, Chris Plunkett. He knows. Okay. All right, commons of sense. All right. So you guys remember that one. All right, I'm not ancient. Good morning, Obi. You ready to go?
Good morning. Yes, sir. I definitely am. How are you guys doing? What is up? And what a week it's been. A little bit of a tease with that tariff decision as of right now. I just only took one ticker today, this morning, and we will talk about it right after we get back from Madera.
Yeah, so to let you guys know here, GOOGL potentially on watch. Google's blog announcing the introduction of personal intelligence through Gemini. If I get more details on what this is, I'll let you know. It's always worth noting here, GOOGL, always kind of on watch around 11 because I generally find if they have an announcement to do, they'll do it via their blog and they'll do it in and about 11 a.m. So again, personal intelligence coming from Gemini. If and when I get more details about when this is, I will keep you posted. I'm also just seeing a headline on TSLA now. Tesla reportedly struggling to offload roughly a third of the initial vehicles it imported to India last year. So TSLA, GOOGL, back to you.
Thank you very much, Adara. So you must be wondering, what is in play today? The banks definitely did a crazy move today. If you saw Sharif yesterday, JPM sold off all day long, just all day steady bleed. And guess what? Banks pretty much did something very, very similar today. Let me just pull up the chart here. Look at what JPM did yesterday. Get rid of that 9 EMA right here. Boom. Let's go down to a 3-minute because that's what I like looking at here. Let's throw this up on a bigger screen. All day yesterday. Yesterday, I came in and I was like, I'm going to keep this simple. I did not take this trade, by the way. Keep it simple. There's a bit of a shake and bake on the earnings reaction right here. Earnings reaction right there. 321, lower range. 331, higher range. Not really doing crazy volume, but relative volume picking up, going up and off into the open. Now look at the level of confluence that some of these key levels bring in off of the open here, Sharif. You can see coming in off the open, kind of in the chop, but the opening range low is confluenced with the earnings reaction low. So if you take opening reaction low plus this pre-market range low breakdown, that thing never looked back. That was at 321s and pretty much closed all the way down at the lows. You don't necessarily have to get involved with any of this chop, right? There's a bit of chop here that happens, but look at the tight risk. Like if you were just like, all right, 321, I'm gonna take the whole, I'm just gonna slap it in. What were the highs of these candles? 321.27, 321.24. So 25 to 30 pennies. Roughly, you know, well within a percentage of, well within a small percentage of its daily ATR. And yeah, kind of comes in pretty nicely for a all-day fade, give you about 3% off of that move. Yeah. Now, what did banks do today? Let's go to Citibank. Citibank was one of the cleaner ones. There's also BAC that happened. Now let's do the same exercise here, right? Maybe you get in on the range high, maybe you get stopped out. Regardless. Yesterday we had strong selling, so maybe now I'm a little bit more poised for the short. Today, not as clean, right? Not as clean. It's not going to do the same thing every single day, but let me throw in this VWAP here. Volume weighted average price. So right here, okay, we don't need those Bollinger Bands, so let's just take out those bands because bands are not going to make this dance.
Aww.
Well, you got to be faster, Sharif. You got to be faster. All right. So coming in off the open, straight slam. Selling pressure is there. Banks yesterday, JPM, one of the top banks by market cap, sold off pretty aggressively. VWAP sellers, opening range low breakdown, as well as this earnings reaction did a similar shake and bake on the earnings reaction, that breakdown as well. Sure, this one doesn't give you that much of a leg, but today the sellers were definitely in charge. So if you were leaning a little bit to the sell side, this worked out really well as well. Now let's go to the next one, BAC. BAC, much, much cleaner. It shows you sellers are in charge in the pre-market. This reaction, if I were to put a range on this one as well, you can see the high, pre-market high, and then this was broken already in the pre-market, but we can just be like earnings reaction low. That breaks down, telling us who's in charge, kind of comes in, gives us another level right here. Remember, this is doing relative volume. This is doing a decent amount of volume relative to how much it does every single day. Coming in, VWAP sellers. Pre-market low sellers as well. You can be like, you can even move it down here. You can be like, no, this is true pre-market low, or even this is true pre-market low, right? Down at 52.80s. So once that cracks, we're off to the races once again, giving us a similar kind of action. Now, don't forget, now, this is a little cliche, but people say this, right? Markets don't necessarily repeat, but they definitely rhyme.
Oh.
And today, the banks rhymed that price action of JPM's from yesterday. So what did I get involved with?
Where'd you get?
All the way around. I missed all of those trades on the bank. So first of all, I think we have a super chat. Let's cover that one here. Shane B, smoking. All right.
So let me take this one because I've got it up here.
All right, yeah, go for it.
Thank you, Shane, for the $5 super chat. Really appreciate it. I've been shorting Roller, ROLR, every time it gets over 1625, like that. 100% success on 4 trades, at least $1 every freaking time. I had it freaking on my own. 1 trade worth $3.50 a share. Excellent trade, first and foremost. It doesn't fit my profile of trading. Couple of reasons. I'm long only, small cap. Number 2, it's trading above the volume weighted average price. If I was to short this, it would be below. But I like what you're saying. I like what you're seeing as what you're saying. I like what you're seeing as well. I'm personally looking for a bit of a different look here. I'm seeing higher lows off the volume weighted average price on Roller. I certainly see that double top that you're talking about, the candle at 1040 and a candle at 1045 on the 5-minute chart, all of which reject that 16.5 area, so 1625, a fantastic area to get short. You typically drop right back down into $14, but I think the higher lows here are starting to accumulate for a trend break. I mentioned earlier that I was looking specifically at this trend line, this downtrend line, which has basically gone unbroken since we made the high of the day in the pre-market at 8:30. So this is what I'm talking about here in terms of higher lows. Obviously, we have the lower highs, and here comes 1601. What I'd like to see First and foremost, can we get above that double top at 1650? We're pretty close. It's 1610 right now, but it is spready, mind you. And then second of all, if we get above 1705, I think that is a decided break of the downtrend that we've been putting in since 8:30. So I love your trade, brother. It's not one that I would emulate myself just because it doesn't fit my profile, but I like it. I hope you print up multiple storms, and I hope we can both make money on the same stock, even though we're probably going the different directions. We're going to pause for a second. We're going to hear more from Moby, but we're going to Adara at the big desk.
Couple different headlines I want to mention. For one, SoundHound on watch after Steve Grasso, who I guess runs his own firm. He's also apparently a frequent guest on CNBC's Fast Money. He just announced apparently he's bought some more SoundHound at a lower price. So again, looks like this Steve Grasso individual is long SOUN. I want to mention here as well, stablecoins. Keep an eye on Circle and maybe the crypto space as a whole. We do have more comments coming from Fed's Myron, who's saying that apparently he believes the introduction of stablecoins is going to reinforce the US dollar. So again, CRCL and watch with this stablecoin related talk from Fed's Myron. And we also have, of course, SOUN on watch with Steve Grasso apparently going long. Back to you.
All right. Thank you very much, Adara. All right. So let's get back to what I traded this morning, and that was Rivian. Now, I had a few different stocks on my watch list from this morning. Rivian was definitely one of them, and I was looking at them all off of the open just to see which ones were doing what I'm looking for. Now, again, why did I take my eyes off of the banks? They kind of did a little bit of a chop off of the open, so I was like, all right, I'm just going to move on to the one that's actually doing what I'm looking for. But
hello.
All right, so right here, you can see gapping down already, sellers in charge for the past week or so, gapping down coming into today, and what comes to my attention, Sharif, was that it was doing a crazy amount of relative volume in the pre-market session after 4 a.m. That dwindled down, right? Volume was still coming in, but at 5 to 6, around 6 to 7, you can see here we're doing about 2 times the relative volume, and then sellers come in off of the open. Now, why do I like this? Why do I think it's significant? So all of this before I get into my execution, because my execution was, in my opinion, absolutely horrible, even though I made the right decisions for the initial entry, not the ads. So let's go to the daily chart and mark out some key levels. Right here,
oh, baby.
Already in a downtrend here, Sharif. You can see this, already in a very strong downtrend, and then breaking this structure low, which is, you can call it roughly 19s or 18 halves, whatever have you. But look at this, coming into this daily break right here, that low is 1760. If we go to a weekly chart, this week low is coming in also at 1760. I'm like, all right, we're in a downtrend. This looks a lot like a reversion, right? It looks like a lot like a reversion. The buying is not necessarily up here on Rivian. Rivian has looked like it's kind of turning around. It is making higher lows relative to this 826 low and has broken down this bigger picture downtrend that we've been holding since 2022. So we've started doing a little bit of a sideways chop. We had the breakout. I think I remember participating in some of that breakout just a few weeks ago. But then we're pulling back into an area of demand. So I'm just like, okay, bigger picture. We've had multiple weeks of green, breaking the trend, selling coming in. So I'm looking at this multi-time frame breakdown on the intraday or continuation. So that 1760, what do we do with that 1760? Now, of course, you guys know how I like to think. If I'm already leaning a little to the sell side, I'm looking for any and every reason to take inventory into that key area. Guess what? That key area ends up being opening range low area as well. 1769s was that initial low, 1767. And then this wick low right here is 1766. So the idea is to look for reasons to sell, taking inventory in through here, and when we do get through here, really slam it in for that continuation to the downside. Day low coming in at 1712. Now, I don't necessarily trade this stock very often, but I think that also maybe played a little bit of a part in this. But let's take a look now at my executions here. So right here, coming in, boom. Comes into 18, so I missed this flush right here through the 18. That came in hot and heavy. I'm like, all right, sellers in charge right off of the open. This works extremely well. 18 rejection. This is conviction right here. This is serious conviction for me. I'm like, all right, sellers are in charge. VWAP came in. We attempted to push back into some prior structure. right? If you take a look at some of the wick lows from the pre-market, that's in and around that area. Sure, it wasn't doing that much volume, but relative volume nonetheless. Comes into VWAP, boom. These are the issues here, Sharif. I am not protecting this average that I have. Sure, the market doesn't care about the average, but my risk does, my account does, and I definitely give a little bit of an inkling to what my average is. So I got in 17.92. It's a little late for me. I should be getting in the back through VWAP as we break back through 18, but that's okay. But now I have to risk 20 pennies. So in this situation, what's the ideal way I should be taking this? I should be taking half of max size, which is I think is a B trade, right? Half of the max size for B trade, and then not punching the lows. I punch lows, and I pretty much double up on these lows here. This entry right here is perfectly fine. We come in, we test VWAP, we slam back in. That entry is good. I think this one isn't bad either. We've made a bit of a double bottom at that 1760s area, which I'm looking for, and that little bit, maybe I think I was getting into 20% more here. And then I really start getting aggressive on this. I basically stop out for a little less than break even, right? Making absolutely nothing on this. Another issue here, Sharif, was that I was not willing to lose on this one. I had so much conviction. I'm like, if it's not going to go, if it's not going to come in, I'm going to take it off. But guess what I did? I think this decision right here was probably one of the better decisions as well. And this is where the trade really starts to take some sort of a momentum. We come right back in. I punch out, I'm like, all right, maybe this goes. 75 rejects, this little structure here as well, slams right back in. So guess what I do?
What?
All this size that I accumulated all in through here, single entry, boom, slam, I'm in. Right there, all of it back in. Because I'm like, yep, this is it right here. I don't care if my average now is lower. The trade is definitely on. It comes in, it does a little bit of a wick shimmy. I take in another 20% add into these lows. Now my average is in and around, I think it was just into 60s. But here, I wasn't willing to lose once again. I wasn't willing to give it to break even. I'm expecting this to go right away. And again, it goes back to the fact that maybe I'm not used to trading this kind of price action, right? Or maybe this stock in general. But I got to give it some room. Look at the moving average. Look at VWAP. Give it the prior structure risk. Those are the mistakes that I made on this name today. I had initial entry was 1790s. It got all the way down to 1710s, and it doesn't break trend really until now, where it's chopping around this quarter at 1725s, which probably is a decent reason to at least cover some, if not 80 to 90% of this position. Now, that's my review of the trade that I took this morning. Right. Worked out cleanly, but I got chopped up on it because of chasing. I had the right idea. I'm inappropriately sizing on the initial entry. I should have more than half my size here, where I only had, I think I had about a quarter of the size I should be having to initialize this trade right here.
Fair.
So that gets me a little chopped up. I'm punching into these lows because I'm just like, oh my God, this is going to go without me. I need all my size now. And I'm just being like, boom,
Been
boom,
there,
boom,
bro.
boom. Any sort of tape flush, I'm like, okay, structure break, boom, boom. But those are irrational decisions in the moment. Right? Being patient, taking a step back, and being like, okay, let me zoom out, use some structure, use the right side of the V on each of these little pops, wait for pops to sell into, not the drops and not the breakdowns. And maybe this breakdown is probably a little bit better because now we're actually coming in to back through those 1760s with stronger distinction. And also, we have market tailwind. The market sold off all this morning. Right? I don't know what it's doing right now because I'm not looking at it. Okay, there's a little bit of a bounce, but all we did this morning was a strong sell-off. So that was the trade there. That was my trade review. And
I like it, Ope.
The next question is,
what?
What's
the next trade?
Thank you. Now we're catching on.
Well, brother, I've known you many a year now.
Yes, yes.
Like,
yeah, it's been a few years.
I've known you since the summer of 22, so it's been some time now. All right, couple of trades. Let's get right down to work. BNAI, I've just worked into this. I'm going to get to roller in a second because that one, I'm still building my position in roller. But BNAI has broken that unbroken downtrend. It's broken basically the trend line over here. This is kind of what I'm trying to say ineloquently. So I've got 95s on. I'm going to give it to current bar low, which is 75. It stops out, then it's a fake out breakout. And yeah, that's the cost of doing business. Otherwise, if this really gets going, holds above 6, I'm going to add, okay? So let's see how the cookie crumbles here with BNAI. It's up 63%. It's one of the leading gappers in the market. it'll likely have a lot of eyes on it for those who trade small cap gappers. We're about 3 pennies out of the money at the moment. But this, ROLR, I've got 88s on. Here comes 10s. There's a seller at 1620. And we haven't been able to shake the seller at 1620 until right now. We just took him out. We just flashed 30s, but the spread is what it is, and I didn't get the print. I'm waiting at 33s. There's 30 again. Oh my goodness. We were just $1 in the money, quick as you frickin' like. Go, roller, you. Go, okay? So we're breaking the trend now on ROLR. I'm gonna go ahead and set up. You know where I'm gonna set up, Ozan. And if they don't know, let them know, Ozan. We're setting up at 69s. We're setting up at 88s as well. Let's see if we can get that continuation. I do expect volatility with this one. I've got 75s. It's showing me 40s right now, 35. So we've got, there we go, 57 just flashed. Let's see if we can get up into the 60s. I mean, isn't it a little apropos to trade a ticker called Roller when it's trading like this, like very akin to a roller coaster? So I don't know, that's not lost on me. There's 69 and there is the print. We're over $1 in the money on this name right now. Let's go Roller, you little bugger. So we've got 88 still printed. Now I'm gonna go ahead and wait on the door of 17. Okay, knowing that 17 could be, you know, a little bit of a resistance level, a whole dollar resistance level. We've got 1565 now as we've exhausted the older shares that we had at higher levels. Remember, first in, first out. So let's see what we get now. We're getting a topping tail candle that I don't really care for at the moment. So keeping my eye on this one. Don't want to take it out too quick. Don't want to be too emotional, especially when the volatility is like this. You have a tendency to be a bit more emotional when there's volatility. I'm just speaking for myself. All right, so back up into the high end of the candle we go. Good look, waiting for continuation into 82s. We're not quite getting it. Current bar high, FYI, is exactly 1674. Exactly that price. We're showing 65s right now. 70s just flashed momentarily, but no continuation. So we're doing it live on this one. It's a good trade so far, but I don't want to exhaust too much too quickly because this thing's up 370%, right? 370% means that we can really get going and we can have lofty expectations for where the price action could go. So I'm going to go ahead and post that 17.5 as well. We're holding prior bar low. There's 65 again. Can we get a little bit higher into the 80s? We're not able to get up there quite yet, but I'm feeling like we are putting higher lows on every descent on the level 2 anyway. 70s flashing. Yeah, nothing. I haven't seen anything above 70. There we go. A little bit more on 70. And there it is, Ob, into 88. 17. There it goes. Into 1796. Boom on this one. Unreal. Very happy with this trade. That's like $2. Quick as you like on this one. 401%. We're looking for frickin' more on this one. Limit up, guys. 1837. You'll always see it on my screen on the red rectangle on the level 2. 1837 limit up. There's 18. Here it goes again. Let's watch now for the break of 18 on the dot. That's the high of the day. There it goes. Oh, it is 1828 now, high a day. The strength is on roller coaster. Just wish I had more shares, quite frankly. There's the breakout, and it's continuing to go without me. We are exhausted on the shares on this one, but very happy with how I executed. That's a big dub for me today, especially relative to the shares I typically take. It's still going. So guys, limit up. Now we're gonna halt 1863. If we stay at this for about 7 more seconds, we're gonna limit up here. 1863 limit up, 429%. We're at the high of the day. 3, 2, 1, boom. Boom. Hey, not bad. All right, we are halted up now on roller coaster. All right, let's focus on the next trade. Great one. So BNAI. Keeping my eye on this one. I'm out of the money to the tune of 4 pennies. However, I like the trend break. And besides, don't forget, guys, the degens like myself, when roller gets halted, their hands start shaking, right? They got to punch into something. Like we can't just sit here and not punch, right? I'm exaggerating for effect, but what I really mean to say is, you know, once one of these halts, look to the other one to start getting some momentum. And I'm talking, of course, about BNAI. So let's keep an eye here on BNAI. Let's see if this holds trend. It breached the prior trend line. So I'm looking for prior trend line now to act as a form of support as opposed to resistance. And this is kind of what I'm talking about here. If I can enlarge this and show you guys a little bit more of what I mean. It was uninterrupted lower, low, high, lower, high, lower, high, lower, high, and lower lows, mind you. And then we get the break here at 1120. It's not exactly a continuation, but I'm going to look for this prior trend line here to act as a level of support now that it's been breached. You never really know how these things are going to go. In any event, we're still halted on roller. We're going to get to that one in a minute, but we're going to go to Adara for crypto.
Before we talk crypto, I really quickly want to mention a headline about Citigroup being reported by Bloomberg. Kind of sounds like this is just a rehash of the earnings call, if anything, but I'll just let you guys know what the headline is. Nonetheless, basically, Bloomberg talking about how Citi CEO Jane Fraser is warning of further job cuts and calling time, so trying to put an end here to old bad habits, quote unquote. Again, very likely just a rehash of the call, but I wanted to let you guys know this headline is circulating. Nonetheless, we'll talk here about BTC Bitcoin breaking out of a nearly 2-month high level of resistance. That was going to be that 95 level or 94 halves. Right now, trading around 97. We're actually at day's highs. Now, next level of resistance for BTC here could be 99,200. So we're about just roughly 2,000 away from that level. So just be aware here in BTC, resistance just below that 1,000 point. Ethereum, as I've mentioned, kind of mirroring Bitcoin in a lot of ways, also breaking out of its own level of resistance. That's going to be that 3,300 level. So great breakout look here for ETH and BTC. Before I send you back to Obi and Sharif for the rest of the midday here, I do want to let you guys know that we did have some stablecoin comments once again here from Fed's Myron. He basically just said that he believes the introduction of stablecoins will help stabilize the US dollar. He also said he sees 150 basis points in rate cuts this year. That would make him really the only Fed to see that. But again, dovishness continues from Fed's Myron, and he did discuss stablecoins as well. Back to you.
All right, Ob, I just want to cover a couple of questions on roller, and then we'll throw it to you super quick.
That's a high roller, that one.
There's going to be a lot of things that we could use this day for today,
definitely.
right? Like roller coaster, high roller. There's just so much that we can do. Shout out to whoever gave us.
Make sure you don't hold on. You gotta keep your hands up.
Yeah, you ever do that? Of
course.
You're about that life?
Yeah,
yes.
Man.
Oh,
yeah.
yes.
Like the strap is in there for a reason. Sure. Yeah. There's an odd chance that it can fly. I've seen some videos.
Oh yeah.
Okay, damn. Like, but the thing is, like, you know,
you're not going to enjoy the money.
I see that it's locked in. I'm like, all right, cool. Hands up.
Hands up.
Let's go.
And then if anything happens to you, your family gets paid. You don't get paid because you're going to be long gone, but at least your family will be taken care of.
I get a little bit of airtime as well. You know, get a little bit of airtime. See, that's the thing. Fun fact.
Let's hear it.
I have a fear of heights, but from lower heights. So okay. I'm more scared of falling off of, say, like a 5-story building than I am a 30-story, because I have time. Give me time for my life to flash in front of my eyes.
Okay,
you know what I mean?
That's a fair
assessment.
Give
me that time at least.
That's a fair assessment.
I'm like it's a little bit. It's like FOMO, right? I'm like 5 stories. Like, dude, like I might survive.
I have something
might not,
similar.
Probably not, but I don't have time.
I have something similar.
Right.
So it's not 5 and 30. But it's more like buildings and airplanes. I get, like, I don't get queasy, but I'm uneasy when I'm on a balcony, say on the 25th, 35th floor. Yeah. But put me in an airplane and ask me to do stunts, like I used to do it all the time. Like we used to go to Buttonville Airport and get one of those fly for $100, and
I remember those. Now that's
problem.
Like $200-300.
Yeah, well, inflation,
exactly
brother.
But
yeah. Okay, let's get to the questions here on roller. First and foremost, the sucky thing about roller, guys, is that it's on the Amex exchange. Essentially, I don't like trading. Well, I hate to say that. I prefer to trade the small caps that are on the Nasdaq for the simple reason is that when they halt on the Nasdaq, we'll be able to see what the theoretical auction price is during the halt. You're not going to get that on the NYSE. You're not going to get that on the Amex. You're only going to get that on the Nasdaq. So we're going to have to fly blind on ROLR. What does that mean, fly blind? Well, we don't know whether there's a buy-side imbalance or a sell-side imbalance during the halt. What the exchange is doing while this is halted is it's taking limit on open, market on open orders, whatever, sell side, buy side, and it's pairing them together. And then there's an imbalance one way or another, an imbalance of buy orders, an imbalance of sell orders, and then whether that imbalance is more buy side or sell side, it shows it as a theoretical auction price. When there's more buy side orders, the price of the theoretical auction price is higher than the halt level. When there's more sell side, the theoretical auction price is lower than the halt price. We're not going to know what this one is on roller, sadly. So we'll have to fly blind. 1863 is where it halted. The halt time, 11:29:08. It is currently exactly on my atomic clock, 11:35:26. So this one will be at least a 10-minute halt. Crap, I got pushed out of BNAI. No, I'm going right back in. This is the trade that I want. So this one on ROLR, will be at least a 10-minute halt. Now, if you're a newer trader and you don't know about these volatility halts, and if you already know, I'm sorry I have to repeat this, but they come in waves of 5 minutes. So if it halted at 11:29:08, the earliest it could have been open, 11:34:08. The earliest it'll be open now, it'll be 11:39:08, because that'll be 10 minutes. It could be 15. We don't know. We have no way of knowing. So we're going to have to find out what roller opens up at and when it opens up. But earliest, it will be 11:39:08. And one super easy way to kind of, avoid having to look at the clock and whatever, you just go to the other screen, your time and sales on the left, and you'll know exactly what time it is right there. So you can see all the different prints coming in. Super easy way to do it. So ROLR, we're going to have to see what this one has to offer, but currently I'm involved with BNAI. Hopefully better. Yes, go BNAI, you little punk. We're going to wet the beak here for a 10-penny winner, and now we're going to set up a little bit north of 6. There goes 6. We're posting at 7. The breakout, I don't know, I don't want to say it's on 5, showing up there. It goes into 10s, all right? We're making some money back after being pushed out. We're posting at 17s, and then we're going to post a little bit in the low 20s. Let's see if this one's got continuation or whether it's going to zig and zag. And if it zigs and zags, let me tell you, so long as I like the higher low pattern, I'm going to take the opportunity to add into BNAI, so long as I like the pattern, all right? So that's the one. The other one here is the DO, SIDU. Your boy just got in here at 55s. The reason I put 55s, I see the breakout level at 50. But the 10 EMA on the 5 was a little bit higher at 55, hence why I took it there at 55. So I'm keeping my eye on it. Schwab is saying 1868, says Adam. I don't know, brother. I can't verify what you're seeing on Schwab. I've never used Schwab. I think they own Thinkorswim now, don't they? Let me know, Adam. You don't have to super chat again. Just tag me, brother. But yeah, I have no idea whether that's accurate or not. All I can tell you is our system doesn't show the tap on Amex stocks or NYSE stocks. So that's a look there. We're going to go to Adara in 1/2 second. Just want to go back to BNAI. The trend here looks like it's holding. I'm going to take the opportunity, I think, on BNAI to get a little bit more if it dips into the 5 mid-90s or thereabouts. So let's keep an eye out on that. And then, yes, we're going to go to Adara at the big desk.
Let's talk here about MindMed, MNMD. Coinvo reporting a rumor that U.S. President Donald Trump is considering rescheduling psychedelics as a less harmful drug class. So again, MNMD running basically on rumors that Trump could potentially reschedule psychedelics. Back to you.
All right, thank you very much. Yeah, so
responding to people.
MindMed catching a little bit of a bump there. I'm looking
Hold on, MindMed's catching a bit of a bump?
Yeah.
Oh, baby.
Just up to 1470s, but it's kind of just in that
that's not good enough.
range. Nothing crazy. Yeah, exactly. It hasn't even got through yesterday's high yet. That's at 1519 as of right now. But yeah, no, let's continue to keep on watching this one there. I got involved with TCOM.
I'm involved in that in the long term.
I think it's a good one.
It's an RFK play. Okay. My thinking is just RFK. That's all. Yeah.
So Trip.com in the morning session there, you can see a nice little gap down. I didn't really look into what was the news here, but I think it's something about maybe something about guidance, antitrust probe here, but whatever. It's just coming down with some aggression, with some
antitrust probe from China.
Thank you very much, Tara. So they've got some antitrust probes there, and the price getting probed to the downside here off of the open. So 70 was broken in the pre-market. That breaks down into 65s as well, and then sold off all the way down to an opening range low of 61.33. So okay. Didn't get involved in it before. I was looking for a potential continuation right off of the bat, but pops up into 65s, can't really get up there because it is kind of sold off. And I'm going to assume that this is a little bit of an SSR. Let's just make sure right here. Yeah, definitely it is on SSR today. I just had to look at my book as well. So it is on SSRE today. So that is very much SSR, which means that the only people who can really hit the bid are people who already are holding long inventory. So that didn't really come in until this flush at around 10.03. That's a 10.03 candle right there. So sellers have been in charge since about 10.03, and we've been slowly grinding down. A test up into VWAP, that's 63. What is that high right there? Let's get specific. 63.38. Where VWAP was in and around 63.40s, that rejects as well. Now breaking down into this prior structure as well as we pull in a little bit lower. Now my question is, can this get down to 61.33s? I have no idea. I did get involved on that structure break, seeing that sellers are now in charge. Let's go to a higher time frame. Let's look back, let's look left, and check out some prior levels. All right, so we'll slowly step it up. This is the 3-minute chart. So we'll go to a 15-minute chart. Do we see anything in the near past? Absolutely not. 30 minutes, nope. We're gonna have to jump a little bit faster than this. We'll go straight to the 3-hour, Sharif. Okay, cool, right there. So before we go to the daily, I do wanna see some of those pre-market prices, pre-market and after-hour prices. So we have a little bit of a support all the way down here at 58. That's the last time we pulled back in and then caught a bit of a bid. We also broke below this. This was the trade here. In the pre-market, it came in. 68. This was a multi-month structure low break where for over 130 trading days, 150 trading days, roughly, we held this 68 to 69 level pretty well. Price traded above it. This brought it right back down, back below this resistance, which again, this resistance from before, from 2025, turned into support over the past few months. That got broken down into as well. So coming right back into some of these prior levels here. So let's go to a daily, because again, daily open, high, low closes might be worth a little bit more than some of the intraday action, but that's also pretty subjective. But all right, 58 halves right here is the next level. So same level roughly there. If we do catch a little bit of a bid for fill back up into prior resistance, that's going to come back into 67, 68s as well, but we're in this bit of a chop zone. But with sellers in charge on the day, I'm curious to know whether or not the sellers will take it down into day lows here after being in charge for over an hour. Yeah, about an hour 45 now, an hour and 45 minutes. So Trip.com taking a trip back to the past where it hasn't seen these prices in about a year or so. So that's one that I want to participate in. So I am not really aggressively sized because again, the place to size was here around 64 half break on the break of this trend, and then also on the VWAP rejection, maybe back through here, and then especially on the rejection when we make the lower high here. Because all morning long, since we broke that support, look at this. This was that 67, 68 area. Look at how strong those sellers come in. Again, with that 7 a.m. Volume that comes in, strong flush, and just seller dominant pretty much all of pre-market, and then only caught a bid for about 30 minutes here on the day. So very, very much seller dominant, getting probed to the downside here. Something from China, I guess. So let's see if that price action continues. I'm going to let that one kind of cook. Let's see if we can find the next trade here. Sharif, I don't know. Yes, you've probably definitely seen this one, but I wanted to take a ride in this beam today, and this one was pretty solid as well. This one doing, look at this. This came on my radar because it was doing 2.8 million times the relative volume. So this thing does absolutely nothing.
It might get your attention.
It does absolutely nothing normally. So I'm just like, all right, it has some interest. I think they said that they're guiding 50% higher or something like that. Yeah, that's what the news was. And then yeah, you get a bounce from 170s all the way a 50%, almost a 50% bounce. Interesting. And then comes in. VWAP sellers, structure breakdown right now off the $2, and now look at this volume has just dwindled. So I think it was a good vehicle in the pre-market session, especially in the pre-market session. It was pretty okay in the intraday session here, where it gives you that VWAP projection, can't really get past it, and then now the volume has dropped off, Sharif, but the price is not really dropping off. So is this setting up as a bit of a liquidity trap? Right? We talk about the liquidity traps where you have strong bouts of volume on something that maybe doesn't do that much volume, and then volume drops off, but the price does not.
Hello.
Right? The price does not. So if this gets stuck in and around here above this reference price, day 2, day 3, I might be keeping an eye on this beam as well for a potential push past this pre-market high at $2.50. So that's one to keep an eye on. Let's see what you guys are saying in the chat here. AMD, thank God for AMD, saying, Ben, yeah, AMD kind of doing its thing here. Very strong off of this morning structure break, opening range high. Does not look back. Pre-market consolidation highs and even pre-market highs doesn't necessarily look back until about 10:30, where we get that beautiful reversion back down into VWAP. Now, looking at this chart right away, my reversion senses are tingling. Right? I'm just like, we've been here. This is an area of supply from before. We're coming right back up into this, and this is starting to slow down a little bit. So the question becomes, is this going to continue to be an area of supply at 224, Sharif? This was an area of supply yesterday as well. So we're getting more of the same here on AMD while the market slams back into the downside. So I'm going to take a quick look at the Mag 7 here. Who is the weakest of them all? It seems like, let's see, who is the most extended?
Mirror, level two on the wall.
Yeah, it's Apple. Apple's the furthest extended. Then it's Amazon here. So let's take a quick look at both of those. Apple coming into its day lows. Wow, look at this structure, man. This tries to chop around. This morning session structure comes in with a little bit of a test at 259s and then pulling right back into 257s as of right now, breaking some fresh lows. Amazon, okay, all right. So yeah, the delivery came in real hot this morning here as we broke through this pre-market lows. VWAP sellers very dominant off of the open and just coming into the day lows as of right now. 237. 35s currently with a 21-day low. So that's definitely coming in. Let's see what else we have here. Nothing crazy. I guess Tesla's been selling off as well. I don't really look at Meta that much, but let's take a quick look. Wow, VWAP dominance on Meta as well as sellers step right in every single time, once, twice, 3 times.
Obi, he is the one thrice. Sorry, you can't just do it without.
No, I know. But yeah, so that's coming in here as well. So yeah, market very, very weak, or I wouldn't say weak, but seller dominant, let's say that.
Fair enough.
Weak is very subjective.
All right, I'm laughing, guys, because it's funny. But here we go. We're having a great time here on BNAI. There it goes into my area high. We just went the beak there at 25s. We have, thank you, advertisement, 589 on. It's showing back 10s now, so it's dropped a little bit. But BNAI broke trend, and that's what got me interested, guys. I really want to make that clear. It was a very clear downtrend, and then it wasn't. So if it's not anymore, well, why not? Well, maybe because the equilibrium between buyers and sellers starting to side with the buyers as opposed to the sellers. And kind of that's the only reason I got involved in this. Not because it showed me some fantastic candles. In fact, I kind of hate all of these candles individually. Collectively, I like them, but individually, they're kind of ugly. A lot of them are topping tail. That means either aggressive profit taking and or very ardent short selling who don't want to give up at this level. But the fact of the matter is, this is a rounding shape, and a rounding shape off a key technical level. That is, of course, the volume weighted average price. So if it ends up holding above 6, fantastic. If it doesn't, it doesn't. I've got 89s on right now, which makes me feel good because the 10 EMA on the 5 is right at 90, off which I'll always chart. So let's keep an eye out on this one. Still have a couple of more, clips to take on BNAI to the high side, but we're not going to exhaust too much too quickly. In fact, I may take the opportunity to add a little bit more if I like it. Now, let's talk about the trades that aren't doing well, as we're talking about the ones that do well. SIDU, the do, we're 2 pennies out of the money on this hot garbage. But good news is the trade ends at 50. So we will not be more than 5 pennies out of the money on this one. So look, I like that 350 level. I like it. I don't like it for no reason, just because it's sometimes psychological support. There was a lot of rejections, a triple top at 350 on the 5. You see that 1015, 1020, and 1025, all of which rejected off that 350. So you know that there were sellers there. Then we double bottom. And then we break through it like it doesn't even matter when we make the high of the day. I want to say around 675. Now we're dropping down, into 367. Excuse me, I was looking at the wrong one. And now we're dropping into 350. So let's go ahead and throw in the stop for this one. And yeah, come what may on this bad boy. We have to give back. We have to give back. But hopefully it won't be that much of a loser. BNAI, back to this one. Still zagging. Now, here's the deal. Prior bar low. That takes us to 1598. Well, we're at 601 right now, so we're on the precipice of breaking prior bar low. And it's preceded, mind you, by a topping tail candle. Of course, I am talking about that 1145 candle on the 5. The open print on that one was 610, the high of which was 625, and then it has a very, very small lower wick. So what I'm ideally waiting for here, or hoping for, I should say, is to hold prior bar low. If it holds prior bar low, it'll give me more confidence to add into the position so that we can kind of ride it possibly back into that high of day. Again, the high of the day is 675 on the dot. So that's my focus. Now, let's get back to the coaster, roller coaster that is. Off that 22, 28 high, back into 814. Funny enough, though, it was that $17 area, you'll recall, that we had a lot of trouble breaking. In fact, we had somebody shorting to no end off 1650. So let's see what this one does. It's defending the 10 EMA on the 5 for now. Okay, the 10 EMA on the 5 was like $4 lower than the high of the day. So yeah, an aggressive retracement, no question, but we're still holding above technical levels. I don't need to be first into this. It can hold the 10 EMA and then show me a couple of bars, maybe on the 1, maybe on the 5, to make higher highs and higher lows. At least that way I have some sort of confirmation that maybe the buyers are locally in control, because right now it certainly is the sellers. So ROLR, definitely not off my purview. We'll continue to watch that in the same way that I'm watching the DO, SIDU, and in the exact same way I'm watching BNAI. And that one is still hanging above 6, hanging out above, I should say, prior bar low. I'm just taking a quick look there at the scanner to see if any new small cap gappers have weaseled onto the scene. No, it seems like they are just the original suspects that we already talked about. Oh, I stand corrected. Criminal has weaseled its way onto the scene. CRML, and that surprises me very little because MP Materials is up 4 1/3. So typically these mineral, magnet, rare earth, whatever the hell you want to call them, typically run as a group. Not always true, but most of the time it is. So CRML, not as exactly a small cap gapper anymore. Now that it's a big boy, it's grown up. $1.8 billion market cap, so it doesn't exactly fit the technical term of small cap gapper, but we may trade it as such. Now, here are my levels on CRML. 10 EMA on the 5, 14 mid-80s, but I do like this $15 area, not just because it's the whole dollar level, but you have a double top there, a very clear double top, 10, 20, and 1025. Then all hell broke loose, and then we dropped to 14, only to reclaim it later. So CRML, be ready for a lot of volatility on this. And sometimes you get aggressive mean reversions, especially with the magnet, mineral, whatever you want to call them names. So criminal now is in focus for me. Fluffster saying CRMX, is that like a derivative of criminal? Oh, it is, 2 times daily. but it's super light on volume, Fluffsters, 191,000. Yeah, her name is Fluffy Hippo, but I just call her Fluffsters. 191,000. I'd rather just trade CRML, but I get the leveraged nature of it. That could definitely interest some people. JL22, if CRML reverses on news, short CRMX. That's actually smart because then you'll get the leveraged move as well. So I won't do that, but yeah, I can definitely see the merit of that, no question about it. So those are those are the ones that I'm looking at right now, and that hot garbage BNAI is losing the bid. Why is it doing that? All right, so it's breaching prior bar low here, BNAI, and it's coming back into the 10. I'm going to continue to watch. I've got 89s on. I'm going to give it a little bit below just to give myself some buffer room, but this could be yet another higher low, a rejection off 1625, and here it comes right into my entry, 90 showing up. Does it hold at the 10, or are we destined to bounce off VWAP? Keeping an eye on this one. I've got one finger on the flatten key. In fact, I'll just take out some here so that we can actually be a little bit in the money on this one, and if I lose, if it ends up stopping me out, it stops me out for less. So keeping my eye here on BNAI, but it does feel like it might be breaking a little bit of trend, having broken prior bar low. Let's keep an eye out on that one. How's the DO doing? SIDU still basically break even on this one. 1 penny out of the money, in fact. Nothing to write home about there. SYNA moving, says Bree. SYNA. Oh, what is this breakout here? Up 3.61%. Synaptics Incorporated at the day high, $3.5 billion market cap. They make fabless supplier of mixed signal semiconductor solutions, enable people to engage with connected devices and data. Not bad. Okay. I'm not seeing a breakout reason yet on my blotter, but that could change. So I'll keep you apprised of that, but for the moment, I'm just going to stick with the ones that I've got on now, by the way. Before we go back to OBE, what is this? BNAI. Oh, that was a big letter. Roller is still holding up at the 10, guys. The 10 EMA is holding up on Roller, and now we have a couple of green candles. Don't be quick to jump in, though, because this one will rip your face off. So what I would suggest, and only a suggestion on Roller, wait for a couple of candles on the 1 minute, on an even smaller time frame, to start making higher lows and higher highs so you get that trend change and then participate. The good news is it's holding up at a key level that probably a lot of small cap traders look at, which is that shorter term moving average. Some people use a 7, 9. I just happen to use the 10, potato, but that's what I'm going to be looking for there on ROLR. A trend change before I get in, but good news is it's for holding up at the 10 for now, OBE.
Yeah, this market's really coming in here, Sharif. So that trip.com, that's working out. There's some size here at 62. So opening range low or day low, whatever you want to call it, is at 61.33s. And where did Buddy go? Buddy was right here sitting on 62s. I guess if the price gets a little bit closer, we can see it a little cleaner here. I did see it on my other book. I guess he's gone. Okay, so there was about 30,000 shares sitting at 62 flats on TCOM here. Let's see if that'll come in. But the market tailwind's definitely helping this one out a little bit as well. I'm going to give it some room, no idea. But Citigroup continuing to push even lower here. Look at that 112 breakdown. We pulled all the way down into 110 halves here. The market's also taking a little bit of a paper cut here at the same time. I looked through some of the volume leaders here, Sharif. It seems like Intel is one of the top names. Nvidia as well. Intel was a little bit of something yesterday. It was definitely good, but you know, I definitely botched up some of my entries on this one. This one was very strong off of the open, coming into some of those prior day highs, bouncing off of them, pre-market highs as well. Really, the tape was definitely telling as we started to reclaim some of this VWAP and started to push higher up into this 47 level. And we maintained a decent amount of strength and going into the end of the day. The strongest selling pretty much only coming in near the end of the day off of a high of 48.24s, closing in and around 47.30s. Today, I was looking for continuation. Pre-market session already kind of came in, gapped up higher. I was looking for maybe more of the same where we hold some prior day levels. But guess what? Strong leg. If we consolidate today, that's more than fine with me. This is holding just shy of $50 as of right now. If this kind of consolidates at these highs, don't forget what Intel is doing. Intel is in a bigger picture, multi-day uptrend here. And we can just take a look at that by going straight to the daily. You can see here multiple days of green. We've finally broken out of this multi-year consolidation where we were just stuck between $25, $26 and $17. So that was a very long time coming. August 2024, we gapped down into there off of an earnings report and just sideways chop, lagging behind the rest of the sector. That's a lot of windup, a lot of pressure. And you could also see volume increasing that finally breaks out and starts to go. Again, sure, you have some strong catalysts like a presidential seal. The government's getting their hands into some of the float as well. And that's a good thing for Intel, right? It's a good thing for bringing production in-house. It's absolutely solid. I think that's the way to go. $50 is the next level, 50, 60, and we're pretty much making a beeline all the way up to there. So if we have a day of chop, I don't necessarily want to be involved, but if we have a day of strength where buyers are really in control from an intraday perspective, the swing trade is very much on. The swing trade was off the $25, $30 break. The buy zone was 35 to 25 in my opinion. You didn't get 25s, but you definitely got chops around 30 to 35, and we started holding a higher low on 35, which was this structure right here. 37, strong flush, gap down into earnings. That's pretty aggressive for something that has the market cap of Intel. Market cap being $238 billion right now. I'm sure it was a little bit lower earlier at these prices, but in and around those levels. Here comes 62 on TCOM. Let's see if Buddy came back right there. There you see him, 300 lots, 400 lots, maybe almost 500 of a visible liquidity sitting on top of 62's. Market, are you coming in as well? Not really, but let's see how well players are able to take this out. Again, I can still short this on an uptick, but if I see the bid getting eaten aggressively, those are longs, or those are people who have inventory because they are the only people that are allowed to sell in this or sell into the bid. So either longs from the morning session or longer term longs as well. Let's see how this bid gets eaten up here at 62. So now I guess it's changed to a few different gates. I got some on EdgeX, got some ARCA and Nasdaq as well. Boom, 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 coming into it, boom, knocking boom, on the door of that 62. Let's see, not really taking anything out just yet. Bid is stepping up a little bit. It stepped up by 1,000 shares there on the Nasdaq book, but I'm going to continue watching this to see. This is, again, a key area. We're having this conversation in the pod this morning as well as, yeah, tape, a lot of tape is just straight up noise. But distinctly different is what you want to look for, and in key areas. And is 62 a key area? I don't know, but showing some size on the book. Opening range lows is 6140s, and that's kind of what I'm looking for here if sellers are going to continue to stay dominant on this name at on trip.com. That's TCOM on the Nasdaq. All right, so yeah, we're going back to Intel. I know I got a little distracted there. I kind of was thinking about adding on this break, but again, I won't be able to punch into the bid. I'll have to get in on an uptick. So we'll wait and watch and see how well this one potentially comes in here. I'm keeping eyes on it. 30,000 now on the bid. I'm going to continue watching this one. What's up, Tariff?
Obi, concussions demand fast solutions. New York Stock Exchange listed Origenics, trading under ticker OGEN, is developing one designed to reach the brain quickly and non-invasively. If you're interested, learn more by scheduling a meeting today. Shout out to Origenics. All right, guys, no happening now for the moment. We're going to go to everybody's favorite segment of the day. It's Neil's lesson of the day.
I didn't even hear there was no happening now. Yeah, we got the lesson of the day locked and loaded and ready to go. I was literally reading I got like a notice of some app to download for my daughter's school to like track progress and stuff they're doing. So I was literally in the middle of that. That being said, we are ready for the lesson. So I saw people talking about the VIX and I got excited. So I want to talk a little bit about sometimes when you use new indicators to improve your trading. And there are always going to be moments, and I'm showing you UVXY because here at Real Trading, this is our equivalent that we can chart and trade as opposed to the actual VIX. That being said, I mean, the chart's going to be the same. It's really the movement that I want to talk about here. So when volatility increases, I think this becomes more interesting. Now, most of the time, you're not doing anything. And remember, there's decay with this. That's why you'll see crazy reaction after the splits. But look at how much we've condensed. We were condensed, right? So when you're not really seeing anything, who cares? But when we break away like today, all of a sudden this becomes a useful indicator to you. And I'm going to show you how I could have used it today to improve some trading. So I just want to take a quick look and point out, yeah, the short's working early, great. I know people probably made their days. I know I did shorting this morning. But there was this hefty pullback, and I want to focus on right here. When you had the biggest dip in volatility, which is about, in a 3-minute chart, it's 10:09 down into this low. So these two big moves, we pull back in before reversing. This is the heaviest pullback zone, where if you're looking for a short, the timing-wise, maybe you don't want to get in here, but you want to get in there. And I'll show you the example because I legitimately, you should always go over your trades and be objective regardless of whether you're up or not. Like, I'm not down on NVIDIA, but I know I could have done better with NVIDIA today because look at when I'm trying to get in. If I look at that same equivalent time when it's bouncing off of VWAP, well, that was that moment where it was the heaviest pullback in the VIX, and I wasn't really allowing it to show that up strength. When it had, which was like 3 bars later, that's when the short worked better. And then you could also go back to the other time that it did. I mean, it's working now, but it is what it is. Who cares? We talk about how you can get better. So as we were seeing that move in UVXY, sometimes you might have the futures up or like the stocks out, whatever it is, as your indicator. But when this broke trend, and I'll get a little bit more granular with this on a 1-minute chart because I love trends. So you have this here, and then you have the sharp move down, which is what I was talking about. When this breaks the trend, that little long, that's when I want to maybe get into that NVIDIA short. So I'm waiting till like 10:18, 10:19. Like after I'd been stopped out the first time and had to get in a second time, had I been looking for an alternate source to give me a reason or some confluence, this little bounce here, where you're now making a higher low, maybe confirming the look that volatility's head back to the upside, that should be good for the shorts because inverse relationship, or at least for tech shorts and momentum shorts. That little bit of a trick can possibly either just save you from getting in early and taking a hit and having to take a trade the second time. What I like about it is it can allow you to be more precise. And when volatility is increasing, I think you need to get a little bit more precise. To that point, I was asked about AMD this morning, and let me go back to a 3. I don't like the 1-minute chart, so I'm just going to go back to a 3. And someone said, man, Neil, AMD would have been a good short up here. And you're 100% right. However, when it was breaking up and was the strongest thing in the market, I liked NVIDIA for its relative weakness at the moment, but it went to 225, or I wanted it to go to 225 for the entry. So I'm not going to end up in that trade. But what you can do is if you're being patient and waiting for that opportunity, allow it to get back in, false break of the high, break the trend, and then play it to the sell side. Now, trend breaks don't always work. But if you can find a way to be more precise, I'm just using this example to talk about precision with your entries. Like I'm just getting in for one reason at one area. And if I had been able to do that on NVIDIA, I feel like it would have been much better. And again, it's not that NVIDIA was a bad stock, it's just that I had absolutely no precision with it, which is typically my game. And using the VIX to time my entries would have helped me, no question about it. And then NVIDIA would be maybe even better than AMD. So the more volatility increases, the more precise you need to be on your trades. Another way that you can handle this is go in with less size and give it a wider stop is one way to handle it. And the other one is to simply look at the VIX, UVXY, a volatility, or some kind of alternate indicator that can give you a reason to wait or to get in at a different time. So precision is more paramount when we have these types of days. We're going to potentially have a 2% down day in the Nasdaq. We're already 1.6. So when volatility increases, you need to find ways for a little more confluence in your trades so that you're not just sitting there fighting it, hoping it works. You get that single entry or area that you have confidence in. Hope that lesson of the day works out for everybody. I haven't touched the salmon, but it does look good. But I haven't had a chance to eat it just yet. We'll send you back to Obi and Sharif. Good luck, everybody.
Roller is reawakening. Here comes Roller again, 1950 seller. This is the highest it's been, I think, since maybe, oh, wow, dude, unreal breakout on Roller. Oh, for sake. Yeah, I missed it. 2082 high. I was just about to start getting my position in. Come on, Roller. Halt parameter, guys, 2082. Here it is. This is it. We need 10 seconds of this, and then it will halt. ROL frickin' R on the MX. It's almost 500% in the Ville of Green, 491.5, and now we are halted up again. Shout out to Mike. PD Rider, roll on Roller. I'm sure there's going to be so many different puns on this one, but yeah, fantastic look today on ROL. I really was just about to punch and to get back into this monster. I had a good trade on it while Ob was dropping hot lines. We took about 30 pennies. You know, obviously definitely not close to the $2 some odd we took initially. Holy cow, I actually took a lot more than $2. Geez, dude, we got in at 15.68 and then we got out at 20 something. I don't know what I was thinking $2 for. A lot more there, but yeah, not bad at all on Roller ROL. There's Casey, 526. Finally, Tisha's back, Casey's back, the gang is back. Where's Bovin at? Bovin came late yesterday. I think he's working in the morning. So shout out to the OG Bovin. Well, he'll be joining us shortly. Those are all small cap traders. So if you're interested in those, in these kind of stocks, those are the people's levels you should be looking at in the chat. Mike PD Ryder, he's trading them. Yannick, Tisha, Bovin, as I mentioned, KC 526. There's others that I'm sure I'm forgetting as well. But yeah, those are some of the people that I would be looking for their levels if you're a newer trader. BNAI still doing it live. We're doing it nice here. We got 89s on. It's showing me 16s. I've got lofty expectations for this one. Maybe I'm crazy. I've got my beak wetter there in the mid 630s. The prior area high at 1145 is 625 on the dot. So we'll have to get above that to kind of get going here. But it's really the SIDU trade that's boring me. I'm a couple of pennies in the money on this one, but Ob and I were looking at some TA while Neil was doing his lesson of the day. And, you know, there's just a lot of buy areas. A lot of participation at these levels over the last few days. So there could be a substantial amount of bag holders who are now possibly break even on this and then are going to be looking to get the hell out. And that typically happens. That's how TA works, right? I mean, it doesn't just, price doesn't exist in a vacuum, right? So that is what I'm looking at there. Why is it blocking your messages, Darwin? Sorry, brother. SEGG, SEG is breaking out as well. Good luck there, Darwin. Up 103%. Just seeing this one now because it was sub $1, but this is a really good one. Thanks for that, Darwin. Appreciate that. The OG Darwin, he's pretty much good at everything. So news, big caps, small caps. So if you don't know who Darwin is in the trader, now you guys know he's one of the OGs, and I'd be looking at some of his callouts as well. So keep your eye out on SEGG. Let's do a little TA on this bad boy while roller coaster is halted. Yes, this looks fantastic. The only issue with this one, for me anyway, is that the volume weighted average price doesn't really look like it's in any significant area of support or resistance. In fact, it's quite the opposite. It looks more like a line of best fit, cutting right through the heart of the price action. So right away, I'm reluctant, hesitant, will not use the volume weighted average price as an area or a level of support and resistance. Let's take a look at some other moving averages over here. Decent respect for the 10 EMA on the 5, not great, but not too bad. I'd like to see what this one does at $1. Certainly had a lot of trouble holding the dollar earlier, whether it was in the pre-market or the implied balance high at 945. The high of the day is 111. I'm not sure why this is not updating. SEGG, there we go. 111 high, I'm not even sure when it printed that 111 high. I'm not seeing any prints that reach 111, but apparently this one got to 111 because that's what it's showing me the day high is. on my platform, but this one is definitely one that I'm going to be keeping my eye on here. This kind of fits my profile. The other thing is, obviously, though, it's a dollar stock, so sometimes it becomes a bit of a thicker trade. So we're gonna pause for a second because we got something to tell you guys.
All right, guys, let me ask you this. If someone handed you $1.25 million to trade, would your process change or just your upside? That's the opportunity Funded Futures Network provides. They're a futures prop firm that gives traders access to large SIM and live funded accounts every day. They've already paid millions to traders around the world with fast same-day daily payouts. And right now, evaluation accounts are 50% off. Buy one, get one free, and no activation fees. You can find the link below or scan the QR code to check it out.
All right.
Yeah.
Okay, so continuing to hold here, BNAI. Let's look at roller for a second, 12:09:18 halt time. It is currently 12:14:15. So 3, 2, 1, boom. Not going to open. So this one will be another 10-minute halt on ROLR. Again, if you're just joining us, this is an Amex name. Hence, you'll always see that on my screen there, .am. That's how you know it's Amex. And as a result, we won't know what the theoretical auction price is during the halt, so we'll have to fly blind. And that is kind of part and parcel of trading these non-Nasdaq small cap gappers. Again, same thing happens on the New York, but I do see a lot of you guys telling me that you see the theoretical auction price on your side. Some people were saying with Schwab. I'm guessing, I don't know, maybe those are not exchange taps, but more like local taps on the Schwab network where they can kind of pair buy and sell orders together. I'm just guessing. I have no idea. I've never used it, but on this side of the desk, I won't have the theoretical auction price on ROLR, so we can just only kind of guesstimate, but it did gap up quite substantially last time. Seg just took out the roof there. Great call out, Darwin, man. Let me see which screen I'm going to use for SEGG. Let's take off NTLA. Here's SEGG. This is an Amex stock, a 122 high, dropping down now into 114. I think we can safely say it. You never really can safely say anything on small cap gappers, but with maybe more likelihood that we hold the dollar now as an area of support, showing 115, and it's an unbroken pattern here on the 5-minute of higher highs and higher lows, starting with that candle that bounced off the 10 EMA right at 12 o'clock. So SEG, SEGG on the Amex looking real good. Let's see how this one ends up doing. BNAI is disappointing me. Again, moving into 620 and then dropping right back down into 6. However, it's still putting in generally higher lows and holding the 10 EMA. I've already put my stop on this one. Let's see what it does, but kind of annoying because I should have been wetting my beak here at 620, but alas, it was not to be. SIDU as well, not looking all that great. A penny out of the money on this one. This one looks like it's going to lose trend, but I've already put in my stop. It loses 50 pennies. I'm out. I've got 55s on. So we'll give this one the old college try, as they like to say. So can I keep my eye on SEG now, because apparently that's all the rave, and this one's still trading near the highs.
Yeah, man. I think it's still looking pretty good there. That high roller is still halted up. Man, I did have eyes on it there. TCOM came all the way back up. Did not break. We'll talk about what happened there right after we get back from Madeira.
Hi guys, sorry, cannot show my screen and could not do happening now. Trying to work out some technical issues, but I want to talk here about some Fed comments from Bostic and Kashkari that we've had since I've seen you last. Fed's Kashkari saying that he hasn't really seen tariff pass through right now, but that he does believe another price bump related to tariffs could happen when it comes to inflation. He says it's moving in the right direction, but it still has a far way to go. Then we've got Fed's Bostic saying that he believes they still need a restrictive posture on rates and that the labor market is clearly weakened, but it's not necessarily weak. So both of these two Fed individuals here, Bostic and Kashkari, with a little bit more of a cautious note. Back to you.
All right, thank you very much. So I did talk about that size at 62 flats. That size reloaded. And I was looking for anybody or anything that could potentially eat into that size. Anybody hitting the bid. Gives me a little bit of conviction. I'm looking to kind of get involved as well. But guess what, Sharif?
What's there?
That bid stacked up even more. We talked about there being, what, like 26, 27, 28,000 shares there. It went up to 30.
Oh.
Nobody hit the bid there. And then it swiped. I was looking away. It swiped. Failure to follow through. Nobody's taking out the bid there. Swiped 50 pennies, almost 60 pennies. It got all the way up to actually 70. Wow, I didn't even notice. That wick is up to 70s. Swiped up. Instantly, you can see the candle right there. Let's go down to a 1-minute chart and take a closer look at this. Right there. Boom. Cannot break. Swipe. Makes a lot of sense. If a level's not breaking, that's a trade, right? You front run that, risk against it, risk against the 62, and you get 70 pennies in about 3 minutes. Solid trade. So if you took that trade, you're out there. Good job on you. Comes right back in. Now the question I have to ask:
what do you got?
How do you break a level like that? If I'm looking to break a level like that, we can talk about that right after we get back from Madeira.
Just be aware here, guys. WBD, Netflix, and Paramount all on watch. A Semaphore reporting saying that both Paramount and Netflix met with the European Commission yesterday. Now, the way that you could interpret this is that they're meeting with the European Commission with regards to potential regulatory approval for a merger with WBD. We know NFLX has been widely considered to be the lead here in the bidding war for WBD. They actually struck a deal here with WBD, but again, PSKY with these hostile bids, still worth noting. So once again here, PSKY and NFLX both reportedly meeting with the EU commissioner yesterday. Back to the midday.
It's a natural, like it's market mechanics
Exactly.
almost, right? It's
exactly.
just like, yeah. So I'm talking to Sharif about like if I say I am somebody who is, who's cornering or maybe manipulating, if you want to call it that, the stock.
There's no market manipulation. Oh, stop.
I mean, yeah, it's just, you can just call it market manipulation. It's just part of the price. Who cares? Doesn't matter. It's like
plenty of market manipulation.
If a level doesn't break and you need people with inventory to break it, you can market some price action that might bring in buyers.
Okay.
So that now you have some participants that are willing to hit the bid if we do start to break through 62s there. So let's see. We're coming right back into 62s. Don't need to look at the chart. Forget about the chart. Let's take a look at this book here and see if we actually do start to decrement the bid, or maybe that's going to be support. I have no idea. I don't know.
All right.
Right? We'll see. We'll wait and see. That was a strong swipe. Maybe that buying can step right back in. Now, this is just one of my theories. It's just like, all right, we can't break it now. Maybe we come back in, we balance out, and then we come back in so that it's more convincing of a break, if you want to call it that. There, market tailwind definitely on our side here, Sharif. It seems like nothing really else on the board. I was watching Rivian here, and Rivian just trading sideways, chop, chop, chop here on Rivian at the same time. I got it right up here on the side of my chart. What's going on, Sharif?
All right, guys. PDS Biotechnology, trading on the Nasdaq under ticker PDSB, is transforming the immune system targets and how the immune system targets and fights cancer, with initial focus on the HPV-16 positive head and neck cancer. HPV-16 can cause head and neck cancer, and more people are facing these high-risk cancers than ever before. HPV-16 positive head and neck cancers are projected to become the most common type of head and neck cancer in the United States in a few years, which is very sad. Learn more at www.pdsbiotech.com. Check them out, guys. All right, before we go to Adara, oh no. There we go. There goes SEG. So your boy's in at 15. We just wet the beak at 23. It's showing me 22s. I'm looking for continuation here on the Sexters, up 134%. And we're going to look to take some more out, hopefully in the 30s. Good move here from SEGG in the midday. Shout out to the OG Darwin for calling this out. Seller at there goes into 24 to 28 high a day. Let's go ahead and set up here as the breakout seems to be on. We're posting in the 30s and we're sending it to Adara.
News on Oracle, guys. ORCL. I was checking to see if this was newer or if it was just reported, but all the indication I'm seeing is that this has just come out. So apparently a lawsuit has been filed by Oracle shareholders, Oracle bondholders, because they're saying that Oracle didn't disclose that they would need to raise a lot more debt to fund their AI infrastructure build out. These bondholders in this lawsuit claiming that the omission actually hurt bond prices and led to losses for investors once the financing need became clearer. So once again, these bondholders here suing interviewing Oracle, saying they didn't really quite tell the truth or tell the whole story in terms of how much they would actually need when it comes to financing these AI infrastructures and data centers. ORCL, near day's lows. Back to you.
All right, guys, roller looks like it's going to be a 15-minute halt. It is 23 after 12 OB. This one halted 12:09:18. So we're going to have to continue to wait. But, you know, oh, wow. Go, Seg, go. Yes. Into the high. We got 133s. We just wet the beak there. Here's the halt parameter on Sexters. 134. And there's the up halt. Now, this is a Nasdaq stock, guys, so we will not be flying blind on this one. Up 160%, and we're already seeing the theoretical auction price go up into 145, dropping down now into 142, halt level 134. All right, so SE double frickin' G doing it live here on the show. Thank you guys, and specifically Darwin, for pointing this one out. I didn't have eyes on it. Halted to the high side, much in the same way that roller is halted as well. So we're going to keep an eye out on that. I got bored of BNAI. I think there's just a lot more to focus on, so I didn't want to expect mental energy on this one. Took it out for like a 4 or 5 penny winner on the remaining amount. If it ends up breaking out, it ends up breaking out. I've missed a trade on it, but that we're gonna let that one go. The one that I'm still holding, I don't know, maybe I'm cruising for a bruising on this one, but SIDU, it's just not giving me a reason to get out. Like, I put my stop 5 pennies below my entry, south of the $0.50, and that still hasn't triggered. So I don't know. Whatever. Shout out to JL822. He got into SEG at 80 pennies. We're going to drop the cash for you there, brother. You're obviously printing up a storm. You're very, very nicely in the money. And there's a storm of prints right there. And I hope you continue to print, man. Shout out to West y'all. He says the bondholders, can you know what? Yeah, well, we'll have to see how that all works out with Oracle, of course. A lot of CapEx there, and we're going to have to see what they can do with that whole thing there. So going to focus now on the DO and the SEG.
Yeah.
What do you got, my man?
I mean, I'm closely watching this Rivian because, again, I do have it on watch for that daily breakdown. Another stock that was doing a daily breakdown and coming in really nicely this morning, wasn't very clean, was Microsoft here. So Microsoft, an alert at 465. That's coming in absolutely beautifully. What do I mean? Let's go to the weekly right here and take a look at this one. Look at this structure breakdown here, Sharif. So we had the bit of a double top. This is a weekly on Softy, right? Strong double top on the weekly. 550, cannot get through 550. Pulls back in. This structure break is coming in on the day today. And this low right here, let's measure that real quick. That low is 464.89. Just round it off, say 465. Let's go down to a shorter time frame. What did we do with that 465? Again, market tailwind on our side, but bigger picture, higher time frame. Fair. Microsoft is selling off. And we've had a very strong double top. Now you can say that, you know, double tops don't mean anything. Sure, I know they don't mean anything on their own. But again, you have to. It depends on the whole story revolving around it. We failed to follow through in a very strong tech market. That's what happened to Softy. And then we're breaking structure back to back. Structure breaks after that. So sellers are somewhat in charge on a higher time frame. Even if you take a look, we just looked at the weekly, but taking a look at the monthly. Anyways, none of that matters right now. All that matters is that 465 today. Opening range low, 465s and some change. VWAP retest, 466 is in some change. VWAP comes in at 465, selling off. Strong sellers step in here. We retest 464s for a lower high. That comes right back in as well. So, you know, a little bit of a higher time frame move happening and panning out here on Softy. Bit of a miss on my part, but I think a couple people, again, in my pod definitely did have that trade, so shout out to them. Structure breakouts. Not only are things moving with catalysts, with news catalysts, Things are definitely moving with technical catalysts as well in this market as higher time frame moves kind of pan out at the same time. So Softy was another one of those. And just for completion's sake, let's go to a monthly chart here. Get rid of that VWAP. And then take a look at this here, Sharif. So we're coming in for a bit of a pullback. This thing has had pullbacks like these in the past couple of years. Still, Strong could go up, right? Straight up, structure hold, structure hold. Let's see if now we can find some sort of a support, maybe in and around 450. That's where these prior wicks are. For last time, we gave a little bit of a flush from 450s all the way to 350s. So 550s to 450s maybe? I don't know, but I'm waiting and watching for that bigger picture. That double top was a decent sign as well. Seems like this TCOM not really going to work out, so probably going to hit out of this one here because we could not get through that 62. We made a higher low, and now we're pushing up a little bit higher. So do I really need to stay involved? Absolutely not. So bye-bye, gone with that one. Worked out a little bit there. I had the initial move, and then I guess I didn't have enough to be like, all right, I'm going to take some profits off of that strong reason to buy here, where sellers literally did not hit the bid at all, and they were hitting it all the way down into 62. So maybe we take a little bit of a breather. Maybe we make a lower high here underneath VWAP. I have no idea. I'm going to continue watching this one as well. TCOM gapping down on a catalyst there and trading lower here with lower highs and lower lows. 62, a little bit of a trouble as of right now with a held bid happening there as well. Day low 61.33. So that's all I really have on watch. You tell me in the chat, what are you guys watching? NVIDIA strong support, says David. Stano said roller is open.
Yeah, oh, it is. Okay, well, so SEG, 34 seller on SEG. Can't shake the 34 seller. 32, I'm watching. I'm in at 15. I'm trying to be patient. Obviously, we're holding prior bar low. HOD on SEG, it is 144, okay? I didn't see, yeah, 144, exactly. And that's where I have my profit taker. Just keeping an eye here on this candle that just opened up, still showing 29s. Okay, it's losing the bid. It's coming back down into 20s. Let's just give this one a little bit of room. I don't want to take it out too quickly now. I don't think this is going to be one that I'm going to add into. So it will have to hold generally my area. What is my area? Great question. Well, the 10 EM on the 5 is 13. I'm in at 15. I'm not willing to give this any more room than that. But the selling is still is pretty much on. So let's see. I can always get back in. I'm going to flatten out here. Just watching. See if the buyers are stepping in. It looks like there's some greenery. Okay, there's some orange and green. Just give me a sec, guys. I want to see if we're going to hold up at this $1/5 of a dollar. It looks like there is buying in the low 20s here. It's a 2-candle red pullback. So I have to be alive to that. No, definitely feels like some selling. We'll get out there. Okay, so next move on SEGG buy area for me is going to be that, I want to say, one high single digits to about maybe one low single digits, 12s, 10s, in and around that area. Let's pack the patience. I'm going to keep my eye out on this one. If it's warranted, I'll get back in. How's the DO doing? Where is it? Oh, nice. It took a whole bunch of prints on DO. Okay, very nice, very nice. Okay, we're doing it live on this one now. Let's get some more. Finally, SIDU breaking a little bit here. We'll keep packing the patience on that one. But roller coaster is going, boy. It is up bigly, 530%. The jokes part about this whole thing is it's only done about 52.5 million shares. Usually when we see something like in the high triple digits like this, it's done, you know, closer to a few hundred million. But because this one's been a multiple halter and it's also had extended halts, 15 minutes at times, mostly 10, yeah, the volume's a little bit lower on this bad boy. So ROLR. By the way, though, I mean, yeah, sure, it's quite volatile. Nobody's arguing that. But look at this. Oh, have a look. Is this not respecting trend generally?
Oh yeah.
It's respecting the trend generally. So even though you're getting caught on these up moves quite aggressively, it's coming back down and trading like a trending stock, holding the 10 EMA, holding general area lows, putting in higher highs, putting in higher lows. So roller, you know, even though it's got a lot of volatility, it is generally holding trend. So I wanted to mention that. BNAI, I don't want to waste my time with. And criminal. Criminal, I've said very little about, but this has been a clean trade. Let me tell you, off that 14 area low, now breaching 16 with a 16.13 high, coming back down now into the 15 mid-80s. 10 EMA on the 5, which it really hasn't touched since about 11:30, is about 15 2/3, so a little bit still. We're about 15 4/5 at the moment. It's up 17%, and the critical minerals trade is clearly on. MP's up 5%. This one's up 17.5%. So they're clearly running as a group. So be on the lookout there if you're looking for something to trade CRML. Now, I'm seeing BMNU break down, which means that BMNR, that hot garbage, is breaking down as well. That typically means that crypto's turning. Is it? Well, let's have a quick look. We're about $40 off the high on Ethereum, and we are about, how much off the high here? We got to about 97,000 today. Holy cow, we're at 97,000? Yeah, man, I told Joe, bro, we weren't gonna lose that level. So here comes 100, likely 100 by tomorrow, maybe by the end of the week, but 97,000 on the coin. So, but I'm not sure why BMNR is taking a turn. We'll get more into that when we get back from Adara at the big desk.
Yeah, I'm seeing a couple different AI-related headlines. So we'll start with the one that just came in. New York Times reporting that Anthropic and OpenAI both taking, quote, early steps to go public. I'm guessing via IPO. We've already heard reports to that effect specifically for OpenAI. So interesting look there. Now with regards to TSLA, which also has an AI-related headline. I know we spoke earlier, or Brendo and Tariff spoke earlier today about these concerns with some of the images that are being made by XAI and Grok. With regards, again, image generation, now it sounds like California Attorney General is going to be probing XAI and Grok over the generation of these images. So TSLA not directly involved here, but again, Grok and XAI also involved with Elon Musk. That's going to be investigated, guys. Back to you.
Interesting. Yeah, I'm not really seeing too much of a reaction there on Tesla off of any of that, as again the market just consolidating near its lows here. I was watching this Nvidia as well because you guys mentioned it. Nvidia at the same time holding below that 187. So what was happening on Nvidia over the past couple of weeks? Let's take a look. A little bit of a supply zone in and around this 192, 193, and then supply supply up there, and then demand maybe down here around 187s, 186s. We stepped below that range. That range break was interesting as well, as we came in last Thursday on it. And every time we pop back up into this range high, even yesterday, one of the most beautiful reversions that I saw was this one right here on Nvidia, where we pop back into 188s, which happens to be, sure, it's kind of in the middle of the zone here, but into this prior structure there. And I think that was off of the China chip news, where they're going to be putting some restrictions on the 100s there as well. So initial reaction was down, and then we wiped right back up, breaking through the opening range highs, pre-market highs, prior day highs as well, and then slams right back in. Nice little balance happening today with the continuation to the downside as we break below, step even lower today, doing more of the same after this range broke down and showing us that we did attempt to push back into the range, and the supply was very much there, bringing it all the way back into where the reference prices of that event kind of wicked down to here as well. So that's coming in nicely, consolidating near the day lows, guys. So that is something that I am watching. Wow, TCOM, don't tease me like that, man. It came all the way to 63s. I was watching it. I'm sitting here with even more size than before. I'm like, if it comes in, I want to punch right back in because that's almost a dollar up off of that 62s. And then it swipes down 30 pennies like that. I'm like, all right, cool. You know, you gotta maintain a level head here, and gotta trust in my ability to take the next trade, because there's gonna be another trade. There's gonna be another opportunity. And why am I trying to get married to the single opportunity here on the day? Doesn't make sense. Unnecessary, irrelevant. Don't do that. So where's the next trade? I'm going to continue to watch TCOM. If it comes back into the 62, that's a trade in itself, right? That's a trade in itself if we start to eat through some of that size at 62. Yeah, let's see. What are you guys talking about here? We got a super chat from Adam James abroad.
My man.
Best 3 days trading in a year. Congratulations very much. Go hit $30. Roller. Much love to the TTV Live gang. Thank you. Much love to you as well, man.
Much love, man.
Congratulations on your best 3 trading
love
days
to hear it.
in a year.
Love to hear it. That's fantastic
Solid
news,
stuff.
man. And yeah, especially, you know, when we know how hard this game is. Trust me, it's not lost on us at all. Between Obi and myself, Neil, Sean, Adara, we really do know, and Joseph, we know how hard this is. We're doing it every day, right? And we're doing it live. Go Seg, you little punk. We're back into Seg. I like the higher low. And here we go. We're showing 34s. Your boys long at 27s. I'm looking at wetting the beak soon. Let's see if 35s are encountering selling. Yes, there's a big seller at 35 that we can't shake. In fact, there's more size coming on to the level 2. And there is 37. Go, Seg, go. All right, we're doing it live again. 44 highs, guys, okay? It's a 44 high, so I'm going to look to front run now the $0.50 if this clears the high of the day. 38 showing up. I don't know where the hell 44 came from. I don't see any prints here. Oh, this one. How come it's not showing up on my thing over here? That's so weird. 43. Okay. Limit up is 44, guys. Limit up is 44 on SEWG. We're not going to get there quite yet, showing 41s. Let's continue to watch now. Let's see if we can continue to weasel up here. Yep, selling at 41. All right. We took out prior bar high. So now, what are we looking at here? High, this candle high on the 5 is 43. Limit up is still 44, meaning that my profit taker won't print unless the limit up changes. Now, that always does change as the price action develops, as well as the timer, right? Because it's running a timer here. Also, roller halted as well. The roller coaster on that one continues to churn. 24.71 halt. Time 12:38.10. Percentage up on the day 6:01. Unreal. Good strength today on all these names. Back to Seg, because that's the one that I'm holding, showing 42s. Current bar high. We opened up a new bar, mind you. Prior bar high 43. Current bar high 42. So we've got a seller here at 42. I don't know what the limit up is now. The price action has to develop more. I'll be able to tell you guys once I see that red rectangle. Selling coming in, back into the mid-30s we go. This is not gonna go against me. It touches 27, I'm out. So we're gonna keep an eye here on SEWG as ROLR is now halted to the upside. And you know, again, has a way of cycling between the two as traders look between one and the other as the other one is halted. Going back into 40s now is SEWG, trying to pack the patience on this one, looking for a little bit more. Yeah, so that's what I've got on there. And then the DO, I've said very little about SIDU. I'm taking beak wetters here and there. This has been, you know, it's expended mental energy from me. To do very little. Now this one is holding up and holding up a lot higher than the volume weighted average price. So this one could be a breakout trade later. I'm trying to pack the patience and not take out too much too quickly, but we're going to put something at 64. And then of course, true to form, we're going to post at 69. Back now to SEWG, as this one is still trading in the mid to high 30s actually. It's holding, obviously. Trend hasn't breached prior bar low, and it's going to be focusing on a lot of people. Something's going on in the Egypt and Senegal game. Looks like they're fighting. I don't know what the hell is going on over here. Oh, there's a dude on the ground, and the Senegalese players are not very happy about that. Yeah, so I'm watching Senegal versus Egypt, which is the semifinal of the AFCON. So Egypt and Senegal in the semifinal, and Nigeria and Morocco in the later semifinal. The winner of those two obviously plays in the final. Can you guess who I'm cheering for? So yeah, well, yes. So that's the situation there. So we're watching that on the side.
Some of the best actors in the world are playing that sport.
God, give me a break, bro.
No?
You know what? Oh, can I say something to you? You're right for certain leagues.
Yeah, for
if
sure.
If you bring that stuff to the Prem,
is this what that is?
No, this is African Cup. This is like more a national rather than club, right? Because it's club soccer and kind of like team national soccer by country.
Okay.
If you bring that diving crap in the Prem, not only are you going to get booked, but the referees will earmark you as a diver. And then when you get fouled, they're not going to call it. So they don't like that kind of stuff in the Prem.
That's great. That's how it should be. That's how it should be. But, yeah, no. See, I just see all these funny videos.
Yeah. Well, you're absolutely right.
Yeah.
You're, to be absolutely fair to you. So, yes, that is very accurate, Hope. That is very accurate. Oh,
so
yeah.
let's
I
see
meant
what
to
you
change
guys.
That today, but I didn't. Thank you. Yeah, I appreciate
Let's see what you guys are talking about here in the chat. Baby Hands Donnie talking about SIDU once again. Okay, all right. You guys really like SIDU, eh?
It's breaking out, finally.
So I know we talked about our yearly picks here. So what I did was on this trading view here, I started a position at that price. I couldn't necessarily get the closing price, but I kept the order there. Now this is just a paper trading account, and we were talking about 10,000 in each one there. So each of those positions I have here, 2 shorts and a long here as well. SIDU obviously not expecting it to work right away, maybe expecting a little bit of a 100% move to the upside before it actually does come in. But again, it doesn't matter, right? I think there's a point I want to push by picking that name. It's, can we keep eyes on something that does euphoric moves and study the price action that comes off of it weeks later, months later, and maybe even a year later, and see how it moves over time? So that's the point. That's the point of that one. It's more educational than anything else. And I know there's a lot of stigma around, taking swing shorts and overnight short positions. There's a lot of people are like, oh, you have limited upside and unlimited downside. Yes, in theory, absolutely yes. But let's see how often some of that actually comes into play. Anyways, SIDU, yes, holding structure, holding prior day levels as well. Let's take a look at some of the other names that I picked as well. BW. This is Babcock and Wilcox Enterprises. So, they don't necessarily make money, but I like the chart. I like how they look on a higher time frame as well. What I was looking at was monthlies, right? We're talking about a long-term swing trade. I'm looking at monthlies right here. This is already a bit of a chase. We've come off of these lows, which were sub $1, coming up into the zone of prior supply from 2020, 2021, 2022 as well, but with a lot more volume, and not only that, Sharif, with expanding volume. Expanding volume coming in. So does that give precedent for the breakout? Perhaps, yes. But that's that there.
What is this? BW?
This is my
That's
long
one of your calls.
This is my long pick.
Yeah,
right?
yeah.
So I got in and around the closing price of that day. Now again, I tried to punch in the last minute, and this was just like, oh, you can't use market orders, use limit order. I was like, okay, whatever, I don't care. I'm just going to set that limit in because I don't expect any of these to work right away, right? They're probably going to wash some of these prices before they actually get going, if they do get going, right? All right, so that's BW.
Oh, can I cover something?
And the other one was Circle.
Oh yeah, okay, cover it.
Circle. Again, why do I like this as a swing short? I think it's because it may be potential mispricing, right? You can see what it's been doing. Let's again go to the monthly here. I participated in this IPO. That wasn't very long ago, right? IPO opening price was $69 flat. We got all the way to $289.99 on a monthly high on Circle. And since then, sellers have been very much in charge. We attempted to push into opening price here in November, making lower highs. Sure, this can continue up to 100s, 120s. That's not what I'm looking for. This is a monthly chart. So I'm looking at the next 12 candles on this chart, or I guess the next 11 candles. Right? Next 11 candles. So what is the probability of the next 11 candles coming lower or higher? I don't know, but I've put on a little bit of a mental bet on this one here. All-time lows coming in at 64s on Circle, and it has made a full circle back down into its open there, Sharif. So.
All right, just keeping an eye here on SEG because it popped right back up. So stop me out, break even. That was the wrong thing to do. Mistake noted, should have been basing it on technicals, not my entry. But I did want to mention that Criminal is continuing to break out. Criminal is now up 25% and on the precipice of breaking 17. And here's why we're breaking out. It really is having to do with critical mineral extraction in Greenland, of all places. So shares of critical minerals rose after the company's drilling program confirmed the presence of strategic metals across swaths of Greenland mining site. We're talking about Criminal. The mining company said Wednesday its 2025 drilling campaign found consistent rare earth mineralization and evidence of strategic metals, including gallium and hafnium, whatever, across its 10 Breeze asset, the company's rare earth deposit in southern Greenland. The campaign's focused on the fjord and upper fjord areas of the project and was designed to upgrade the site's mineral, blah, 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 okay? So that's why we're continuing to run. Criminal is up 25% and continuing to go, guys. Barely any even touches of the 10 EMA, let alone a break of the 10 EMA. So be on the lookout for that. Great look today for Criminal. We're going to pause for a second. We're going to the big desk with Adara.
Yeah, I just want to let you guys know here, potentially keep an eye on Taiwan Semi, not a move, but we know they're reporting earnings before the bell tomorrow. And we also have some reports suggesting that apparently there could actually be a deal close coming soon here with Taiwan and the U.S. with regards to trade. Apparently, U.S. officials are going to be headed up to Taiwan fairly soon. We also had Fed's Kashkari basically dissing crypto, saying it's, quote, basically useless. So fun Fed comments here, and TSM on watch. Back to Obi and Sharif.
Savvy Canadian traders who are looking to boost their exposure can now tap into the Nasdaq 100 and the S&P 500 with Beta Pro 3X, daily leveraged ETFs, featuring built-in FX hedging. This aims to amplify short-term market moves, minimizing the impact of currency swings. Whether you're feeling bullish or bearish, these ETFs are built for active day traders ready to take on the market. Read the full risk disclosure in the prospectus at betapro.ca before investing. All right, guys, so I forget who it was in the chat, but one of you wanted me to take a look at Moderna, mRNA. So let's take a look here. All the way up to 497. I'm still on the monthly chart from the last look here, but pulling all the way back down into this area where, again, in 2019, we had a bit of volume for very obvious reasons, and we had a bit of a bid where Moderna went all the way from $18 all the way to 497, almost to 500. I know a lot of people were expecting that 500 break as well. That was pretty funny when it just fails to follow through and slams right back in. 2022 is again another example of a beautiful higher time frame. Sure, it was a great long until it wasn't, and then the backside has been absolutely beautiful as well. Swing short right there gives you 200, gives you 100 breakdown as well on the gap down, and that's been absolutely solid. But we found a little bit of a base. We've been consolidating sideways for a decent chunk of 2025, a year-long consolidation holding above 22s, right? This is where that bid started. So is this now balanced? Is this now fair? That's what I'm asking about some of these prices. But a year-long consolidation, and now we're starting to catch a little bit of a curl on somewhat increased volume. The volume has been increasing right there, right? So, yeah, 22s. Don't forget, these guys are a solid company. They've been around, right? Another name here is Pfizer. Pfizer has been around. Pfizer was actually one of the top stocks in the market going into the .com.
Really?
Yeah.
Yeah, because Viagra came out around then, didn't it?
It was one of the top ones.
Yeah,
it was definitely up there, right? So these guys have been around. They make money. They have a very strong and sustainable business. Yeah, they had a lot of eyes on because of COVID, but like think about this all the way here. This is that drop, right? All we did was drop back into almost prior structure on the monthly, and then bid right back up, giving us a breakout of this 31.5. That was a great trade as well. 31.5 gives you 50s on a name like Pfizer. Great, but we've pulled right back in to those levels where we caught that aggressive bid in 2019 and 2021, 22 as well. So yeah, I'm keeping my eyes on some of these biotech names for sure, and just continuing to watch. Yeah, it's a little bit of a curl. Moderna does look good there as it's catching a bit of a curl and breaking out of a year-long range on a higher time frame chart. So good look there on Moderna.
Yeah, sounds good. Sounds good. All right, we wet the beak here on some more SIDU. Look, it's back into the 20. It's held up at the 20 before. It's just not my favorite trade. So we're just gonna hold on to the position here. It loses 50 pennies, I'm out. Same plan that we've been articulating essentially the entire show. We're in at 55. Best prints I have there are 67s, high a day, 69. Looking for a hold up here, but I did get back in to SEWG. It's holding higher lows above the 10 EMA. I don't know how I feel about this. There is some compression happening here with higher lows, but also lower highs. So we're kind of caught in the middle. The 10 EMA on the 5 is about $1.23. So I'm packing the patience here. I want to see what this does. The lower highs seem to be a bit more operative than the higher lows, at least for the moment. So that is my observation there. But let's get right down to work, man. It's the roller show here and nothing else. ROLR up 575%. It's got a bit of a double top now through 24. Prior bar high takes us to 24.37. Current bar high prior bar high 24.37, and this is 24.40. So double top, essentially 3 pennies off one another there, with the day high being 24.71. It's still very much holding trend, hasn't lost the 10 EMA even when it's halted. It's still continuing to hold that. So what I would say is base your entries off the 10 EMA. That requires a little bit of patience because it's not always there. And then keep your eye out on the breach of prior bar low. That's sometimes how you can kind of tell we're going to get a bit of a deeper retracement. The drop down into the 10 EMA is almost right at $22. So we'd have to drop $1.50, which is certainly not out of the realm of possibility for this one. Keeping an eye on that. Also, criminal, which we haven't traded at all today, but probably really should have been a lot more active on this one. CRML is just a beauty. It is a $17 high on the dot. There seems to be selling at the whole dollar here, as this is the second 5-minute candle to make its way into 17, neither of which have breached it. So be on the lookout here for a rejection of 17 or a spike through 17. Oftentimes, though, that spike is met with an immediate reversal right back down as people take profits above that whole dollar, I should say, and or shorts get short above that level. Dropping back down now into the mid-80s, I want to tell you that current bar low on CRML is 1658.5, and the current bar high obviously $17 on the dot. So that is something to be on the lookout for there. And that is really all I've got at the moment for these bad boys. Let's go back and have a look at SEWG. Still, trending in the wrong direction. My stop is below 120, so we will take a bit of a hit on this one if it does drop and give back a little bit on that earlier look. By the way, Jala Press saying the daily resistance on 17 on criminal. So not just intraday resistance, but looks like it's on the daily as well. Thank you for that, Jala Press, informing me about that one. Let's go back to roller though, because that one is still putting in higher lows. 23.75. It held prior bar low. This current candle has a low of $23 on the dot. The prior bar is 22.63. So trend continuing to be an operative factor here for roller, even though it does have aggressive price swings both ways. Halt level, I believe I just saw on roller 26.04. So we're still a ways from that. Keep an eye on it. But as you've seen, this thing can move $3, $4 at a time pretty quickly. So if you're taking this one, look both ways before you cross the street. Nothing doing here on the do. Still holding this one into the 20 EMA, but my focus really will be on SEWG. I'm looking to add into this one if it can breach prior bar high. Prior bar high has to be breached at a price of $1.35. High of the prior bar is 134. We're showing 130s now. So nothing for me to do at the moment. But SIDU is losing the 20 EMA, and I've done it before. Yeah, I'm just going to insist that this one stop me out. I don't want to take it out lest it continues to go, and I feel awfully bad about myself. And I want to see the plan. I want to see it through, right? So I'll just focus my mental energy on SEG, and here it is. About at 133. Let's see if it can take out prior bar high. We mentioned 134 was prior bar high. A breach of that obviously would be 35s. There's 34s. There's 35. Can we get continuation now? Good looking candle here on SCWG, but no follow through. There's 6s. All right, some selling coming in, but we did breach a prior bar. So trend still holding here. It's about really how you execute and where you take those money fills, both for to add more and to wet the beak. So make sure you are wetting the beak on this move up, because these ones are around for a good time, not a long time. Hope.
Sure. So man, Netflix has been on one. And I want to get involved here. 88 has some significant size on it, and we've just cracked some more structure lows there. So just taking in a little bit here as we pull in. You can see off of the open, aggressive sellers, slow, steady, grinding price action all the way to the downside there. 89 steps down into 88 halves. Now stepping into 88s. 88s has about, was it 200,000 shares? Just over, I'd say about 220, roughly, just like eyeballing it. Let's see if I can show you guys here if I pull it up right there. So, okay, we'll throw up a filter here. So that's a lot of lots happening there on 88s right there. So that's coming in. Those are lots, guys, almost 2,000, over 2,000, almost 35. I can't quick maths to save my life there. But again, big numbers on the bid coming in on 88s after a strong push in. Let's see what we do if we can crack this level as well. Market to the downside at the same time. Already got involved a little bit. Should have gotten involved at the prior structure break at 88.20s. Broke the quarter, coming down into the hole. It could very well bounce off of here. We saw what happened on the 62s on TCOM, but just a little bit of a dabble here to see if it'll have me. Let's see if that 88 potentially comes in, especially with the market coming in and creeping into its lows at the same time. But downtrend very strong here on Netflix on the day, man. I even looked at this multiple times with you guys, if you guys have been tuning in over the past few weeks there. Netflix support isn't really till like 86s, and if that cracks, we're seeing like 70s as well. I'll be honest, I'm looking for 75s. That's the next quarter. We broke the hole, which was the 100. I'm looking for 75s, which is the next quarter on Netflix. Not saying it's going to go further than that. Not saying that that's support. I'm saying that that's just the next level I'm potentially looking for. And it's been using any and every reason to sell off before the WBD. Forget about WBD. WBD is just more recent news. Look at the multi-month chart. We already were selling off, and we're taking any and every liquidity that comes in as a reason to sell even more. So that's Netflix for you guys. What's up, Adara?
So I'm going to let you guys know here about VZ, AT&T, and T-Mobile. They're not really moving right now, but I think it's worth noting I've seen now at least a couple times in the last 20 minutes. Looks like user reports suggesting there are some problems here, some services are down anyways for certain users. For all three of these companies, so VZ, T, and TMUS, not really reacting yet or as of right now, but just be aware some users are reporting problems. Back to you.
Yeah, I don't even know why.
What's going on, guys? All right, thank you very much. There, we have a bit of a super chat here from Ket Copy Paste. VKTX running on M&A rumors out of JPM this week. Daily looking good. Good luck to all. Yes, thank you.
Remember that one?
To you as well. Yeah, let's take a quick look at that one here on VKTX.
They're working on something special there.
Yeah. Look at this one, man. All day bid. Yesterday was a bit of relative volume there, all day long.
Remember this?
That's yeah, exactly. We're still in that range.
Yeah.
So every time it does that crazy move, obviously maybe a little too far, too fast.
Right.
If you want to go to Sharif's chart, you want to talk about that one?
Yeah, I'll never forget this day. It popped up super aggressive. I thought we were definitely going to take out that $60 level and hold that $60 level and come back into some of those levels we were at in 24, early 24, I should say. Not to be, and I remember it was kind of like a failed phase 3 trial there, but you never really know how these ones are going to end up being, man. But VKTX, Viking Therapeutics, one we've been talking about, I don't know, man, for years on this one. I forget what was it specifically that they had going there? Was it someone with cancer? Do you remember, like exactly what it was?
I don't remember
Headwinds, commercial path, insider appetite for weight loss. Yeah, I don't know. This all says GLP-1 stuff, but yeah. All right, venture trial, there we go. Announced the publication of the results of the company's phase 2 venture clinical trial, a dual agonist of glucagon-like peptide. Okay, so GLP-1 stuff. Glucose-dependent insulin-tropic polypeptide receptors the oral and subcutaneous formulations, which we're seeing a lot more now, but it's kind of late to the party. I mean, great if they're an acquisition, maybe like the likes of Pfizer, because they can't get their ducks in a row when it comes to GLP-1s. I think this is the third phase 3 trial that they're on. A couple of trials were stopped, so they may acquire their way out of that. And, you know, Albert Bourla has been in the White House, I think, a bunch of times, so he may be in Trump's good books with respect to the regulator approving any acquisition his company makes. So I don't know. I like it. VKTX has been one that I've been going back and forth on for a while now to throw into the long term or the swing, and I haven't pulled the trigger at all on that, but something definitely to keep an eye out on there. But it's looking fantastic intraday. So let's look at it from an intraday sense, because that's what we're doing around here. Criminal looks fantastic too, man. What a clean bounce off that 10 EMA. But let's look at VKTX. Intraday looks real good. Here it is, decent spread, 3 pennies on a 30 some odd dollar name, 3 million shares of volume, and there it is, another high day, 34.60, a clean stair step up. You know, very few red candles littered in a sea of green with good volume, increasing volume profile, might I add. I mean, it's not 11:10 volume, but certainly off the consolidation area, lows in the volume at around 33. There it goes again into 34, low 60. So up 12 2/3 and looking at doing some more damage, man. VKTX, if this, you know, fits your profile, looks absolutely fantastic here. I would ride trend and see if I could get something off the 10 EMA. Let's go ahead and put this on the side chart so we can do a little TA. Who we're going to take off? BMNU's hot garbage. Let's go VKTX. Yeah, a clean 10 hold, right? You got the 10 hold over here at 11. You got a nice area consolidation and a clean 10 hold, and there it goes again, 34.65. Very clean move, but it's getting extended away from the 10 EMA, and when it did that, recall, at around 11:15, it didn't pull back. Now, it might pull back here. It didn't pull back there. It consolidated. Kind of just gave it a chance for the buyers to step in. Shorts couldn't do anything about this, though, at least not at that moment. And there it is again, 34.73, continuing to go here, guys. The 10 EMA on the 5 is about $1 south of where we are. 33.83 is a 10 EMA. 34.73 is the current price action. So VKTX, beautiful midday breakout, and it's been basically putting in those higher highs and higher lows since 9:30 this morning, really uninterrupted. So who can complain about that? We're going to keep this one on the side chart, and if it's warranted, we'll jump in, small cap gapper or not. It's certainly not a small cap gapper, about $4 billion market cap, even after the latest big boy drop off the area highs. All right, halftime is over in the Egypt-Senegal game. Let's see how this cookie's going to crumble, but looks like Senegal had the bulk of the possession as well as the bulk of the passing. So it looks like Egypt's playing defense on this one, but still 0-0 going into the second half of the semifinal. If you're interested in soccer, there's another semifinal today. Nigeria and Morocco, 2 African heavyweights. Of course, if you watch soccer, you know that. Shout out to Brahim Diaz. Shout out to Ashraf Hakimi as well. Some big names on Nigeria as well. My man Alex Iwobi, of course, with Arsenal ties. So definitely going to be watching that. And then Arsenal plays Chelsea today too. I don't know why I'm telling you, but I got to talk to somebody here.
Yeah, for sure. Yeah, let me know.
Arsenal plays Chelsea today in the League Cup semifinal.
Who's Chelsea?
Chelsea is another London team. So unlike North America, there can be a lot of teams in one city.
Yeah,
and they can have monster stadiums. Okay, that's just kind of normal in Europe. So one of the teams of London is Chelsea Football Club. They are in West London. So it becomes a difference of what area in London you are. Like Arsenal's North London, Crystal Palace, South London, another West London team is Fulham, and then West Ham used to be East London until they moved into Central London because they took over Olympic Stadium. But yeah, very, very important.
They're like clicked up almost. Yeah. Because I've seen like videos of like comedy skits of just like you walk into the wrong pub wearing the wrong stuff. You're in the wrong side. You're in the wrong part of the neighborhood, and best believe there's going to be some stools and some glass flying around for sure. But I didn't know that. That's the thing. Everyone,
and not just in big cities, though. Like even smaller ones will have multiple teams.
What do you think? Is that What's the one? There's one that comes to my mind. It's like Westminster.
West Ham, you're thinking.
Okay.
West Ham, yeah.
Okay,
well, there's a bunch of, there's West Ham. Who else? Maybe you're thinking West Bromwich Albion.
Who's the best?
The best in the Prem right now is Arsenal.
Arsenal.
Team,
I've definitely heard of the Arsenals. Yeah, for sure.
Well, you never really know how the Prem is going to work because it's like a marathon, not a sprint. But Arsenal leading, I think, by 6 points right now at the top. So that's 2 games, essentially, because when you win a game, you get 3 points. You tie, you get 1 point. Okay. So they're 2 games clear of City, Manchester City, who's second. Liverpool is the best, says David. Look, man, hey, I love Mo Salah. My old man is a huge Liverpool fan, so I'm not going to smack talk Liverpool, but it's always Arsenal and will always be Arsenal for me. It's been Arsenal since 2008, and it's not going to change. We're going on 20 years of being a fan, so that's when I moved out there. All right, it is almost 1:10.
Right,
we should probably start the news. So let's give. I'm just going to cancel all my resting orders so nothing triggers while I'm doing the news. But guys, criminal is going. It is taking out 17. It's 17.20, and so is Viking Therapeutics. So they're both going. They're both very clean trades, by the way. Very little in the way of bamboozlement. We're just going to show you guys this real quick before we start. Very, very clean. Bottom right of your screen, CRML, and then we'll throw in the ticker for VKTX over here. If you're looking for something to trade midday, these are a couple of non-small cap gapper names that are running really clean on news. Both of them have a news catalyst, so you're not flying blind with respect to these ones. As well, I want to remind you, Roller is still up 528%, looking real good, and the Do, SIDU, trying to jump back up here into where I got out. So that's another thing to keep your eye on. But without further ado, after SIDU, we're going to do the news. Sorry, bro.
Yes, sir.
All right, let's get right down to work. Katina, man, this is what you miss with your guy. Thank you, by the way. John Baker, he's dropping a super in the chat. We're going to thank him for that. Request for Stone Cold Steve Austin for our fanboy Joey Dome in surgery today, man. We're hoping Joey's doing real well. There it is.
Boom. There it is. Speedy recovery.
We're hoping he's going to kill it. I'm going to message him as soon as I get out of here, make sure he's good. And I'll wait, when he's good and ready, he'll message me back. But, we know he's going to kill it. He's going to be waddling around here. You guys thought Neil was waddling around for like 6 months? Going to be the same thing with your boy Joey Options. So let's get right down to work. Silver breaks $90 an ounce for the first time ever, extending the powerful multi-year rally and holding above some psychological levels and thresholds. It's already up, at least at the time of the writing of this article, 27% year to date after outperforming gold, I should say, last year with 150% gain. Tell me these commodities trend without telling me these commodities trends. In addition to that good news, the March silver contracts are actually trading near the spot price, which is showing you that there's broad-based participation rather than just a one-off spike. That's one way to be able to gauge that. The move here, amongst other things, reflects renewed confidence that silver prices are now high enough to overcome what people have complained about, which is the persistent cost inflation at the mining level. That's been one of the reasons, a lot of people haven't been jumping into silver. The cost of extracting it was sometimes higher than you were actually getting for the mineral itself. Not at these levels, according to this article. And the silver-linked ETFs, case in point, SLV, for example, are rallied sharply higher along with the metal, highlighting strong institutional as well as retail participation. So you're getting it from both sides. ETF flows are suggesting momentum traders and macro investors, not just traders, are increasingly using silver as both an inflation hedge and an industrial demand play, because unlike gold, we know that silver carries heavy industrial demand component, tying the price action to electronics, the energy transition, manufacturing trends, so that there are reasons to extract this other than just to say we're hedging against inflation, we're de-dollarizing. No, there are practical uses for this as well, Ob. So give the people your observations on SLV.
Yeah, so silver, you got to remember, so a lot of people are just looking at SLV and being like, oh my God, gap ups, gap downs, whatever. But here's the thing. You got to look at silver futures, because silver is an asset, it's a commodity that trades like futures. It trades almost 24. I think it does trade 24/7. But yeah, it trades overnight. It trades in the morning as well. There's a whole session that kind of happens. And sure, SLV, you'll see that intraday piece, but you got to keep eyes on silver futures. So I have here the silver futures, and they're currently at $91 an ounce. So yeah, what a breakout this has been, man. So the breakout came in here about 83s. That was the breakout from the December 2025 right there, and then kind of consolidated. 70s held pretty well, and then breaking out. So this is on a very strong uptrend after a multi-week breakout. Now, bigger picture as well. This thing has already been running since last year as well. So yeah, very much in an uptrend. The thing is, it might be harder to swing something like an SLV, but I think contracts might be a little bit easier, more in line with what the action you're seeing on the bigger picture time frame here is, and that is that we've broken out of this bit of a range that we made, and we're very much in an uptrend here. So you can look at hourly charts, you can look at whatever, you can confluence that with sentiment and the kind of participation that the commodity is getting. But just technically speaking, we've broken out of a bit of a range here, and we're trending to the upside here since then. Higher highs, higher lows, holding many different trend indicators post breakout here. And I would consider the most recent breakout here at this 83 change, 84, let's call it clean right there. 92.23s is the high as of right now.
All right, just before we get to the super chat, Chief Keef is asking for the article that I'm reading. This is my morning note. It's going to be ready every morning, 7:50, 7:45, before we come to air. He's like, where do I get it? So let me tell you exactly where to get it. So here's the video. This is the YouTube, this is the YouTube homepage here for Trader TV. Says join. Click that join button right there. There is a handsome gentleman, Brendo. You hit join, $4.99 a month. We're talking $5 a month. You get that every morning. It gives you technical levels, gives you a trader outlook, and it's not just, of course, about silver. It's about all the morning trending stories. We try to keep it as fresh as possible. So that's kind of where you'd like that. So where you can get that. Shout out as well to JKL. Dropping a $10 super chat. Thank you very much, brother. So you guys are technical traders. The silver chart tells a short-term different story. The technicals need to reset. That's a great point. Give me your take as to why. What levels are you looking at? What do you mean in terms of reset? Is it getting extended away from a certain moving average? Getting extended away from a previous area of technical resistance, now support? Give us your take on this. You don't need to super chat again. Just tag myself or Obi. We're both in the chat. We can read out your comment. Thank you very much for the super chat. And I look forward to your response so we can engage in the dialogue. Let's go on to the next story, though, Assassino. NVIDIA faces fresh China roadblocks for its H200 just literally hours after the U.S. actually approved it. We'll get to that in a second. Chinese customs authorities have been instructed by Chinese regulators not to allow NVIDIA's H200 chips into the country. This is according to multiple sources. At the time of the writing of this article, nobody had confirmed that. Domestic Chinese tech firms were explicitly told not to purchase the H200 unless absolutely necessary, with language described as severe enough to amount to a de facto ban for now. Some of those reasons, if you're wondering what reasons are they talking about, we were given something like, academic research, etc. I don't have an exhaustive list of what would meet these criteria. Officials did not clarify, though, whether the move applies to existing orders or only new purchases from here on out. We didn't get that. So that creates more uncertainty. In addition, NVIDIA's H200 is the second most powerful AI chip they make. Of course, after Blackwell, Chinese firms reportedly ordered more than 2 million H200 units, which is like way above the estimated inventory of NVIDIA, which is about 700,000. Now, if you're thinking, well, why don't they make more? Well, capacity is constrained. Taiwan Semi makes all of them, and Taiwan Semi obviously is now focused on producing the latest Blackwell chip, and kind of they've looked past the H200. They would need to restart that. According to reports going back way when President Trump first started talking about authorizing this, the window for restarting production was gauged by Taiwan Semi to be 6 to 8 months. So yeah, that's a bit of a window there to be able to at least meet the 1.3 million chips that they don't have, if you assume that 700,000 inventory is accurate. But Beijing's move here, nobody really knows what they're thinking, but we can make educated guesses. They've offered no formal explanation. They did not confirm whether the ban was temporary or permanent, but analysts are suggesting that Beijing may be weighing multiple objectives. Firstly, they're trying to, champion a domestic alternative, whether it's Huawei, SMIC, Meta X. There's so many names emerging now as potential, candidates to make these advanced AI chips. We've seen multiple reports, though, that they're not that good. In fact, they're not that good, but strung together and putting a lot of them together, they seem to be able to achieve similar results. Or the bargaining chip ahead of the President Trump and President Xi meeting that we're all expecting in April. Could this be a way for Xi to be like, those NVIDIA chips look nice. You guys are making a lot of money on them. But we're going to stick with our Huawei Ascends. Who knows? Unless Trump gives up something in return. Who knows what that would be? We already see President Trump already kind of interfering with the deal that he did with China because he's threatening to put 25% tariffs on anybody doing business with Iran, which China obviously does. So we'll have to see how that ends up working out. Last but not least here, the H200 was formally approved for export to China by President Trump's administration this week, albeit with conditions. And the U.S. officials we know remain split. The hawks don't want China getting their hands on the H200. And then there's others, the tech bros, that say, look, if they're not using our technology, they're going to develop their own. They're going to go somewhere else. We need to get the world addicted, relying on American tech so that we can stay at the forefront. Oh, your look.
Yeah, so I think NVIDIA has been setting up pretty nicely here. We talked about some of the range that it was stuck in over the past couple of weeks earlier, and we've broken below that range coming into this week as well. Actually coming into, what was that, last Thursday, Friday, a bit of a chop, you can see here, but pretty flat chart to say the least. But let's go bigger picture, man. Yeah, let's see if this sector is really kind of cooling off. We saw that softies already showing some signs of a slight pullback, right? But bigger picture, this thing is very well within range, and I think with some of those upcoming catalysts on the horizon, yes, it's going to definitely catch some more second wind, some more tailwind, because higher highs and higher lows is what I see. But prior structure right here, this is where we had a bit of a chop and that 100 bounce as well coming into the middle of the year. Those highs are sitting around 150. We got to 200, couldn't really make it too far past 200, 212s, and then pulling back in with a little bit of a sideways chop. So yeah, a little bit of turbulence, but we've seen the kind of turbulence that NVIDIA has eaten up. Remember that DeepSeek turbulence that was there? We thought that was the top.
Yeah.
Right? For how long? That was a little bit of a chop.
Like
It's just a blip on the chart. Right? Yeah, it was several months, sure. Yeah. But bigger picture, looking back at it, just a blip on the chart. Exactly. Yeah, sure, a little bit of consolidation. But when we break back out, we're still back on. So the question that I keep asking is, yeah, there's a lot of this shake and bake between the U.S. and China in terms of like who's getting the chips, are we getting the chips, are we restricted, are we going to have limitations, this, that, and the other. But eventually, is it bound to happen? It seems like they're already using some of those chips on the DL.
Oh, yeah, right? We know that. We've seen videos.
So it's like, okay, so once you figure that out, you're just like, okay, well, they're already getting them one way or another, and we're not really banking off of them in any one way or another, and we don't have any sort of record as to when and how and where they're getting them. So it's like, okay, if you want to regulate some of that, you want to keep eyes on that, you have to play nice. And that's kind of what we're seeing, the back and forth of being like, okay, you got to discuss these things. But in terms of price action, the chart is still intact. The uptrend is very much still intact. So I think on the way, just like any other business, we're going to have a little bit of turbulence. Business deals go back and forth. But bigger picture, these are the shovels and picks. And we are very much in a gold rush. So.
All right, Adira, give us your take on this latest NVIDIA story.
As I've kind of said for a while now, and I'm going to restate it because I want to, I think that, I'm getting very tired of this NVIDIA, China, US back and forth. Oh, they're going to be able to send it. Oh, but China doesn't want it. Oh, but they can, but they're not going to be able to do anything with it. But, well, we're going to be able to send it now. Oh, but China's telling their companies not to buy a lot of them. It goes on and on and on. Here's the thing. I was saying at one point, I think NVIDIA needs China. Now I'm at the point where NVIDIA is chilling on revenue. As China said, as Jensen Huang said, their China revenue right now is basically zero, and yet they're still doing incredibly well. Now, at this point, again, I think because they've been out of China for so long, China's been able to get ahead in a way that at this point, like any benefit of NVIDIA coming in now is going to be, I think, immediately hindered by the fact that China's already done their own research. So the best way that they could have actually fixed this was to go back in time and not do the China chip ban in the way that they did back to like October 2023, right? But they can't do that. So with that in mind, I think that at this point, sending these chips is just still going to be, I don't really know if it's going to achieve what they want to achieve. If China's not even buying them at this point, they're just going to be making these products, sending them out, and they might not even have necessarily like all these customers. So long story short, I think that the upside of this China NVIDIA trade has really kind of dwindled. And you can see the market reacting to that too. This isn't just me saying I'm bored by this story. This is the market as well. We had this brief drop yesterday after we had this another report from the information about China and what they're going to allow with NVIDIA chips. And look how much NVIDIA cared. It goes all the way up to a new high of day. It moves, what, like 4 points off of that low? Again, this morning, too, you might have expected some kind of gap up on this story. Well, you certainly didn't get it. So I think I'm bored. The market's bored. I think that this NVIDIA China story, unless there's a massive, massive change in the tides, it's not going to move the needle.
Thank you very much for that. Let's go on to the next one. Meta pulls back on VR, but they're doubling down on AI and wearables. Let's talk about it. So they're scaling back their virtual reality ambitions, marking a clear course correction after Zuck changed the name of the company to kind of reflect his ambitions for the metaverse. The company actually began laying off about 1,000 employees tied to Reality Labs. That's the name of their virtual reality department. That impacted about 10% of its entire hardware division, including Quest, Horizon Woods, etc. Several internal and acquired VR studios are also being shut down. For the ones that are being closed, Amateur Studio or Armature Studio, Twisted Pixel, Sanzaru, and the Oculus Studios Central Technology, with additional cuts to Oro Interactive. But the Supernatural, which is a VR fitness app that was acquired back in 23 for $400, that's been moved into maintenance mode with no new content planned, but no layoffs either. And we know since 2020, Reality Labs has generated over $70 billion in cumulative losses, with about, in the past quarter, $4.4 billion loss and just $470 million in revenue. So why focus away from that? Well, because he wants to focus on things that he's currently actually making money on. He's going to prioritize that. So Meta's aggressively reallocating that capital away from the metaverse and towards AI. Specifically, he spent $14.3 billion, as we know, to buy out Scale and to buy out Alexander Wang, largely to kind of hamstring his competition for about 6 months. Because you recall, Scale basically does labeling for AI. These LLMs, they don't like to be able to look at a picture and to see what it is. No, they need it kind of labeled. That's what Scale did. Meta raised its 2025 CapEx outlook to about 70 to 72 billion, noting that the spending growth will be notably larger in 26. We're going to pause for a second. I believe we have breaking news.
We have a couple pieces of news to talk about. One, very timely, actually has to do with Meta and its metaverse. So Wall Street Journal reporting that Meta is laying off 1,500 people in the metaverse division. This is not the first time this has been reported, but again, recirculating. So I will let you guys know, because sometimes the market can move when these old stories coming up again. I also have to mention a couple more cybersecurity companies earlier today, and I think this is going to be discussed during the news segment as well. In fact, I know it is, but we had China moving to ban certain Western cybersecurity software. Looks like we're getting reports they're now banning more firms, including CRWD, so CrowdStrike and META on watch. CyberArk also apparently implicated in this. Back to you.
Thank you. VR adoption has lagged as well, right? We know that they've kind of tried to focus away from that, from VR to AR, and that's what they've found traction with that. These AI-powered AR glasses, like the Ray-Ban Meta Smart glasses, have seen unprecedented U.S. demand, according to the company, which has forced Meta to delay the global rollout due to limited inventory. Luxottica actually expects 10 million unit capacity earlier than in 2026. So Luxottica now expects to hit, 10 million unit annual capacity earlier than 2026, which is suggesting that wearables could become a meaningful revenue pillar. Meta has very much struggled the last few days. What's your look?
Yeah, I think another one with some strong selling post earnings, right? We saw the earnings reaction. Yes, I don't know if we're ready for metaverse. I would definitely love to see some sort of immersive virtual reality where we can use it in a very practical and realistic day-to-day way. But I don't think we're really there yet as of right now. But that's just my opinion. Let's see what the chart's up to. So post earnings, strong volume, strong sell-off, breaking back below that 700. We almost got to 800 there, 790, 795s coming in on that level there. So we pulled back in here as well through, when was this? The beginning of December, and then slowly bleeding back down again. So I think we're poised to see this prior low, man. This prior low here at 579.80s. That was the low here at November 21st here. So bigger picture. Let's go to, let's say, a daily chart here. So 795s once again. We've started to kind of slow down here, as this was a huge range that was kind of made from, when is this? At the beginning of 2025. So February all the way down to April, we sold off pretty aggressively, and then we tried to break out of that area here for a few months. Couldn't quite make it, gap down, flushing back down. So all I see is that we're kind of stuck in this range, and the range low is all the way down at 489, sub 500s there on Meta. So
all right.
I like the glasses. I think they can do really well.
We're going to look at them
with the glasses as well. Yeah, with the Ray-Bans, some solid stuff going on there. And you're seeing people use it. You're seeing influencers use it here and there. But at the same time, it's just, I don't think it's just as immersive enough just yet.
No, it's not.
More
and
of a practical
doesn't do enough either. So these are the Wayfarer, the Gen 2s. They're a bit more expensive now. I think they increased the price $100 from what they were from the Gen 1s, 609 Canadian dollars. These ones basically just, I think you can hear things and it takes pictures, but it doesn't actually display anything onto the screen. You'd have to go for this one, the Vanguard. So this is designed for athletes, obviously. We can have a quick look here at that, and there's a camera in the middle. And I don't know if this is the one that actually displays something on the screen. I think that might be the next one here. These HST ones, but are made by Oakley's. I think these are the ones actually that do that. Confirmation of that though, but these are the options that they have. So these are what they're calling AI glasses. You can kind of shop all their different glasses there. So look, I'm hearing some positive, some negative things. I'm hearing the build quality is not all that good. In addition to that, the use cases are quite limited. Like it displays the map. Like if you're walking around or whatever, it'll display the map on of your navigation. Also, you'll be able to see text messages. But again, very limited use cases, but a good first step nonetheless. So we'll have to see how they end up doing here. If you guys have any experience with these, or any positive or negative experiences, tag myself or Obe. Let us know what you think about them, and we'll read it out. All right, let's talk about Tesla. Next story here, shifting FSD, full self-drive, into a subscriber or subscription mode only, like a SaaS. So they announced that FSD will move to a subscription-only model on Valentine's Day of all days, February 14th, eliminating the one-time purchase option. I think in Canada, it's like $8,000. I'm not exactly sure where it's at right now. It's changed. U.S. customers can either pay, currently not going to be the case. U.S. customers can either pay $8,000 upfront or subscribe at $99 a month. But going forward, it's only going to be a monthly tariff that's going to be available. And Tesla's pushing forward, you know, for that recurring revenue, right? Software-based revenue like a SaaS. That's really what they're trying to focus on here. The move to subscription-only FSD may lower the upfront barrier for new users, potentially boosting the adoption rates over time. I don't even know why that would boost it, because currently they have the option of going 8,000 or they can go $100 a month. Recurring revenue does improve revenue visibility though and lifetime value per vehicle. So you can kind of see analysts using this like, oh, so you have, I don't know, 100,000 subs, so we're going to project this kind of yearly revenue, whereas now you're really only getting those FSD. I don't even know if Tesla reports FSDs. Incrementally, they do. How many FSDs they've got currently as buyers or subs. So here's what I'm thinking. I'm thinking this is more of an opportunity kind of to get people on board to what's coming on in the future. So what I mean is, you know, we've talked a lot about this, where you're going to be able to take your car, your Model 3, your Model Y, you're parked at work, your Model Y goes out and does basically Uber, ride sharing while you're at work and you're generating money. So maybe that $100 tariff is kind of a little bit low, because if you're operating the car, I don't know, all day, I have no idea how much you're going to be able to generate from these things, but it seems to me like it was only a matter of time until that one-off payment was terminated, because it's so much more lucrative of a model, like we've seen with Adobe and others, where you make them a SaaS product, especially as well. Like, think about it, when you're running a business, right? Yeah. You have fixed costs like your tenancy or your rent, your wages. You have certain fixed costs, you have variable costs. This is going to be one of those ones where you have a fixed cost. You know you got to pay $100 a month for the FSD, then that will have to influence exactly how much you use your car as a robo-taxi in order to be able to generate money for you, right? So, yeah. What do you make of this?
I think it's a good model. It kind of sure you're gonna have fixed costs for this as well, but the question becomes like, does it have the capability of making more than it costs me monthly?
That's right? Exactly the question.
You make a great point. Like, the revenue that it can generate for me on a month-to-month basis, that means that it includes the FSD cost, that includes if I'm gonna Uber it out when I'm not using it, any sort of maintenance that shows up, any sort of like just you know because there's going to be people in the vehicle. You're gonna have to clean it. You're gonna have to do whatever. It's gonna be clocking more mileage as well. So does it overcome all of those? And if they can get that down, then I think the adoption will probably be easier, obviously, for them, because people will be like, hey, look, I can participate in this and actually, bring down some of my expenses for the car on a month-to-month basis. I'm sure it's not going to cover your whole monthly expense for the Tesla, especially if you don't buy it outright. But it's definitely going to help with that as well. So I think if they can figure that out and get the numbers to kind of work in the favor, the adoption for it, I think, is going to be a little bit easier. Now, of course, you got to ask yourself, is this a car that I'm just going to have that runs full time and just like does the ride share or the ride pickup? I don't know what to call it.
Yeah, but ride share. Let's just go with ride share.
Yeah. So if it does the ride share for me, and that's just a separate vehicle that I have, maybe I have a couple, and maybe if they can generate some real revenue, then it makes a lot of sense. But to start off, I don't know if that's going to be the case, and that's what's up in the air, right? But I think we're definitely headed in the right direction when it comes to that. It's all about more sustainability.
More sustainability. Right? And
I think that at the end of the day, I say this often, if you read Tesla's mission statement, they are an energy company. I know they currently just sell vehicles, but they are very much an energy company.
They got storage.
No, of course, I know they do, but a lot of people fixate on cars and say they don't make money selling cars, which is true. But that's not their mission statement. That's not their end goal. You have to remember that there are steps along the way, and not everybody is always able to see the vision.
Fair. Let's look at some comments because you guys have great comments there. Ichiro bringing up a really good point. We know that Teslas come with, wow, man, I can't believe ROLR is still going. Unreal. 790%. It looks like it's going to go 1,000. Quadruple digits probably today on our ROLR. Look for this one in the aftermarket too. When there's no halt parameters, it could get even more crazy. But Ichiro bringing up a good point. We know these Teslas come with different hardware versions. We're talking about the cameras, etc., that come on the car. So there's version hardware 3, now we're currently in 4. The problem is we don't know whether the older versions of the hardware are going to jive with the current version or the most, advanced version. Let's just call it an unsupervised version of FSD. We don't know that, nor has Tesla said whether they'll upgrade the older version free of charge or whether it's upgradable at all. So that is another problem. Another point by Ichiro, a great point as well, is that when you buy FSD, if I was to pay $8,000 at the point of sale, FSD moves with the car. So then if I sell it to Brendo, if I sell it to OB, FSD can be used by OB, can be used by Brendo. But if I'm a SaaS, if I'm paying it on a monthly basis, it doesn't follow the car, it follows the user, right? Once the user sells a car, he cancels a subscription. And then you don't know. Maybe it's not $100 a month anymore. It's $200 a month now because Elon's seeing people are generating good money off this. So great points there. I do appreciate you guys mentioning that. And yeah, keep the comments coming. All right, let's go on to the next one. Well, this is not that, well, this is actually important because it's another European regulator trying to extract money from another American company. Amazon appeals, the reduced Italian antitrust fine. So Amazon said it will appeal an Italian court decision that actually reduced but didn't eliminate a major antitrust fine tied to its logistic practices. Amazon maintains it shouldn't be fined at all. And this obviously remains as a legal overhang and not a resolved issue. So what happened here? Italy's antitrust regulator lowered Amazon's fine to about a little bit more than 750 million euros, which is about $876 million, from the 1.13 billion euros that it imposed back in 2021. The reduction followed a ruling by a regional administrative court last September. Regulators had actually accused Amazon of abusing its dominant position by restricting competition in e-commerce logistics services within Italy. Amazon said, look, we're going to continue these legal proceedings. We're going to fight this to the end. The Italian financial paper called MF reported that the Italian antitrust body is also appealing. They want the reinstatement of the original fine, the 1.13 billion euros, not the 750 that the new court handed down. So the dispute adds to the broader theme that we have been talking about a lot on the show of the European regulatory pressure on U.S. tech giants. It's not just the Digital Markets Act. It's not just, Meta and Apple and Google and Microsoft with their cloud. It's basically all the tech names. They're all catching hands from the European regulator.
Yeah, it's as if they have it out for American companies. You know what I mean? That's really what it's feeling like. Like for example, that whole iRobot block. Was it last year, a couple of years ago? I don't know. It feels like yesterday. That was, again, unnecessary, irrelevant. Don't do that. That's kind of my perspective on that. But Amazon has been doing well, man. Amazon, you can see it here on the daily chart, slow and steady. Slow and steady. It's not as fast, it's not as aggressive as some of the other ones, but over the past week or so, we got those aggressive bids. We came all the way up to 250, now pulling back into some prior structure here as well as of right now. So I do have it on watch. I like the stock. I like what they do, and technically speaking, man, we can just, again, let's go up to a monthly chart. Well within range. Now, of course, a lot of the Mag 7s look similar, some of them relatively stronger, some of them relatively weaker, but here's the case. This thing has been holding up quite well, and it has already bounced off of that 200, already bounced off of some prior structures here at the same time. 258 highs here, Sharif. So definitely on its way higher, especially if the market continues in the same direction that we're going to, because it's just, or that it's looking like it's going to. But what's interesting to me is like they have their hands in everything.
They do. Bro.
Data centers.
Yes, they do.
What do you call consumer discretionary?
Yep.
Just everything. So it's just like they're at a point where, yeah, even if they lose a decent chunk of their business, maybe the stock will drop. But the thing is, they're so well diversified in how they make their money. That's why I really like the stock.
Great comments by you guys as well in the chat, man. Dang it, Senegal scored. It's 1-0 Senegal. I just need to see this goal. Is he offside? Oh, there might be a Handoff offside there. Bring the VAR back. All right, let's go on to the next story. Bitcoin ETFs are driving this macro, or is ETFs drive macro correlation, I should say. So Bitcoin's latest bounce looks like a crypto-specific move and looks less like, I should say, like a crypto-specific move and more like a macro-driven reflex, which is tied closely to these sensitive, rate-sensitive assets. Softer U.S. inflation data and shifting expectations around the Federal Reserve policy also helped lift this up. We know that, likely Chair Powell will be out by May, and if that's the case, then we'll probably see some more aggressive rate cutting after that. Whether or not it moves the needle before the midterms, that is still undecided. So U.S. lawmakers, we know, also introduced draft legislation aimed at clarifying when crypto actually qualifies as a security rather than a commodity. Makes a difference which governing body regulates it. While still far from becoming law, the proposal is reinforcing that gradual move, towards a clear regulatory guardrails. And that's what we need, regulatory clarity. It's seen as supportive for the long-term institutional participation. We've seen a lot more of institutions get into crypto, but hey, not enough to move the needle here above that previous high of 126. But we saw broad-based participation today with the crypto rally. Let's take a look at this. Bitcoin is moving back down now into 96 after being at around 97 and change, I believe. 97.5, I think it got to. ETH continuing to move up here, but you're seeing some of the names as well. MSTR up 2%. You've got the mining names like Mara's up 0.5%. CleanSpark's got a specific headline for itself. It's up 5.5%. Likewise with Riot up about 4.4%. So not too bad, but sticky inflation tied to housing and tariffs could also keep these rates a little bit elevated for longer. So, what's your look here on crypto? Take Bitcoin, IBIT, whatever you want.
Yeah, we'll go with the king of the castle here, BTC. So I've spoken on this a few times. The attempt at quarters, which was 125K, came in a couple of times there, but bigger picture, structure is stepping up quite nicely on this one, right? That 70 breakout, that's I think a very key level here. This kind of structure, this very tight consolidation above prior highs from 2021 and 2021 as well. Yeah, double top 2021 brought us all the way down to 15, almost 15K there. 15,460 is what it brought it down to. I still remember that. But we've been holding structure quite well, and this 70K level is very interesting to me. You can see the first pullback into that 75 held quite well, and that gave us a bit of pressure all the way up to 125s. 126s and some change are the all-time highs here on Bitcoin. Another pullback after a failed attempt to hold those 125s and hold 100 pulls us all the way back down into 80s, which is pretty close to that 70. So back into the zone where we found some buyers last time. So that's kind of what I'm watching here. We could continue to step up. We could continue to pull back. But I do want to reiterate, if you just go back and look, I know people are saying the cycle is different this time. Guess what? I've been watching Bitcoin and participating in crypto since it was around $6.
Sorry?
$6. It was in high school. In high school, we like me and my buddy. 24? I think I was in grade 7 or grade 8, something like that. But it was around that time. And the thing is, like I've lived through multiple cycles, and every single cycle, people are like, "Oh, it's different this time." Yeah. Because of these participants. Last time they were like, "Oh, the CIA is buying it up. The government is buying it up. So it's different. They're going to defend." Guess what? We had a 50% pullback. Right. We did. So you got to understand that over time, how this asset moves. What is the range profile on this thing, and give it that kind of room. As of right now, it's kind of holding up, and there were people loading up with leverage on the 100. It makes sense, right? 100 hold, again, psychological level for some. It's just like, okay, but where on this chart have been the best times to really buy this thing? It's always almost been those crazy pullbacks when everybody's like, yeah, crypto's dead. when most people are saying crypto's dead, and that's probably where I want to start looking at for some sideways action, for some rounded bottoms.
I like it, man.
As of right now, we're still in this 100 chop zone, still very much here, still being adopted by, you know, governments and banks alike around the world.
Yep.
So I think we're still in there. You know what I mean?
And, but quite frankly, so long as we have like boomers and Gen X that are running these central banks, we're not going to see central bank buying of crypto. I think there needs to be a generational shift in who's operating or who's at the helm before we start seeing stuff like that. So, well, I don't think it's time quite yet, but let's go. We're going to skip the bank earnings because well, they're bank earnings, right? Net interest income, okay, not too bad. Bank of America beat on the bottom line. Wells Fargo missed on the top line, beat on the bottom line. And they made money from non-interest income bearing things as well, like you know, wealth management, et cetera. Let's talk about the next one, though. China moves to ban Western cybersecurity software. I didn't even think that they were using, you know, the likes of Pandub or Fortnite or Fortnet or whatever they're calling it, Zscaler, CrowdStrike. I didn't think the Chinese companies were using that. I just figured that they'd have their own because, well, of the sensitivity of the industry. But Chinese authorities have now instructed domestic companies to stop using cybersecurity software from roughly a dozen U.S. and Israeli firms, citing national security concerns. The exact number of affected Chinese companies is not known, so we can't gauge exactly how much they're going to lose. American companies, Israeli companies. Officials are apparently worried about the software collecting sensitive data and transmitting it overseas. That is according to sources familiar with the matter. Nobody's commented in an official sense, at least not at the time of the writing of this article. Some U.S. firms that could be affected, we're talking about like the likes of VMware, which is owned by Broadcom, Palo Alto Networks, Fortinet or whatever, Fortinet, as well as this other company here from Israel called Checkpoint Software Technologies. None of the companies nor the Chinese regulators commented on this or have said anything publicly. But this restriction would align generally with Beijing's broader push to reduce the reliance on foreign tech across critical infrastructure, of course, AI software being the other. China's longer-term strategy seems to be very clear. They want to replace Western technology with their own homegrown solutions, not just in semiconductors and AI, but also obviously in enterprise software, which is typically a SaaS and very, very lucrative for the companies that do it. Domestic Chinese cybersecurity vendors could benefit from these new restrictions. Now, I don't happen to know of any. I'm sure a quick LLM search will get you exactly which ones are the biggest in China and what exchanges they're listed on. So if you have access to the Shanghai Exchange, the Hang Seng, where some of these obviously trade, that could be you know, a nice arbitrage opportunity for you there as well. Oh, look on the story. I don't know if you want to look at Hack or you want to look at Pandub or VM, whatever. Hack is the ETF, by the way, the cybersecurity.
HACK?
Yeah, literally.
Okay, yeah. How much volume does this thing do?
Probably not that much.
Yeah, let's see. Well, I'm looking at a monthly chart. Yeah, it doesn't do volume at all, man. 63K, currently 77K on average. But yeah, we can kind of maybe look at it if it is an ETF. We kind of look at it maybe more as an indicator than anything else. And very strong uptrend. Very strong uptrend here. So getting bought up and with strong wicks off of prior structures as well, Sharif. So I like that. Yeah, I think I don't know. Maybe when it comes to cybersecurity, it's always a battle because especially with AI coming in, I think the game is definitely going to change a little bit, especially with quantum becoming more and more of a reality than before. I think it is going to change, but maybe these are pricing that in, right? Obviously, these business models are going to adapt and overcome when those new technologies do start taking place. So yeah, no, I think if using this as an indicator, very strong trend to the upside.
All right, Ardera, give us your take on the story.
Yeah, my take on this story is it's so kind of odd. Like you kind of said it yourself, Sharif, with regards to, I can't even believe they're using these in the first place. I mean, yeah, sure, that's fine. But I also think it's like I wouldn't have expected them to use it either. But I think the fact that they apparently are using these companies and then they're just trying to cut them off for whatever reason, like it does kind of seem like at this point, I mean, a little bit here with the EU and the regulation, but I think especially with China and the US, it's almost like this contest of I'll regulate you, no, I'll regulate you first, no, I'll regulate you better, like much like the China tips, you know what I mean? It's this big roller coaster, or OLR. And yeah, I think at this point, like, again, interesting to know too that they're apparently expanding as well with CrowdStrike, as I mentioned earlier. That one was just announced, same with CyberArk. But yeah, like if you actually look at the ones that are affected, a lot of them not even moving that much on this, like Palo Alto Networks. Here's Palo Alto. Take a look at AVGO, which got hit the hardest, but it's only not, this was not its only catalyst, the VMware thing. They also had some kind of offering or bond structure announced yesterday as well. So the point is the market not super reacting. Again, I think much like a lot of this NVIDIA chip news, it's kind of like, of course China doesn't want this now. Of course it's upset. So yeah, a lot of, I don't want to say nothing burger, but I think in terms of how the market's reacting, I think it's much like us, the people hearing about these stories, I think the market's getting a little bit tired of the China-US tug of war that no one's winning.
Thank you very much. Let's go on to the next story. LHX gets Pentagon backing. We talked about that yesterday. They're going to get a Billy. We're talking about L3 Harris, of course. Today, Bank of America likes that, and they're turning more bullish on them. So in case you didn't know the story yesterday, it goes as follows. The Department of Defense is going to invest $1 billion into L3 Harris Technologies missile division. That missile division will be spun off as a separate company later this year. We don't have the exact time, speculating that it's going to be the second half of the year. Yes, okay. So Bank of America reiterated or reaffirmed its buy rating on L3 Harris, and they raised the price target nicely from 350 to 400. We're implying about a 17% upside relative to yesterday's close. Analyst Ronald Epstein highlight.
Dramatic pause.
Come on, man. Of course I got to do it. Highlighted that reorganization could unlock shareholder value, supporting higher valuation multiples. He also the upgrade also reflects, I should say, their L3 Harris's defensive characteristics in a volatile macro and geopolitical environment. Obviously, that was one of my picks for the. Just seeing the goal here, a horrible goal. That was one of my picks. I picked Northrop Grumman, L3 Harris, Lockheed Martin. There's so many. Neil took a bit of a different take. He went with the drones, which makes absolute sense to do that. Obviously, we see the proliferation of drones on the European front. But the new structure as well, they're saying the spin-off for their rocket motors, the new structure enables heavy investment in solid rocket motor capacity, which is targeting a 3x increase production by 2030. We see this with almost all these rocket companies, whether it's SpaceX, Rocket Labs, AST Space Mobile. They're all really looking at increasing their launch cadence. They want to launch a lot more. Clearly, the front runner right now by a country mile is SpaceX, and it continues to be that way. The expansion also aligns directly with the U.S. defense priorities. We saw President Trump really take a shot at these defense companies last week and saying, you're not producing enough, you're spending way too much on share buybacks and dividends, and it's taking you forever to actually deliver. I don't happen to disagree with him there. So should be interesting to see here. LHX, what's your look?
All right, let's take a quick look at LHX here. Wow, a little bit of a strong move prior day, man. Yeah, this is definitely worth watching, I think. That's just on a 3-hour chart right there. So it gave back all of the move that we had in the pre-market there, Sharif. And today we're just consolidating as if nothing happened. So yeah, definitely on watch. Is that a bit exhaustive? Perhaps. I don't know. Let's take a look at the daily. That's a strong top wick, right? Or a kind of a flush right back down. It opened up, so you're not really going to get that wick there. But if you're looking at it from a pre-market perspective, then yeah, it kind of wiped all the way back down to where it started from. But bigger picture, still in a very strong uptrend on this one here, man. We broke out of this 305 area. When was this? That was in January. So at the beginning of the year, just breaking out of that area and off to the races. So yeah, I do ask myself, is that exhaustive action? Because we are already in a bigger picture breakout here. I want to go back to like a shorter time frame right there, right? We come into this 350, gets slapped back down. We open up, maybe some news comes out, 350s once again goes all the way to 388s, gets slapped back down, but we're holding. we're holding as of right now. So that's maybe some information there as well. But if we break this trend that we've been holding since the breakout, then maybe we're poised for a little bit lower. I have no idea. But that action right there, when it goes all the way up in a single day and gets slapped right back down, I'm definitely watching that. Maybe a little exhaustive. The volume also, you can see here the volume signature, significant relative to that of any of the days of the uptrend as well on LHX.
All right, let's go on to the next story. Netflix. This was lit yesterday, but they're apparently trying to sweeten the deal. An all-cash move for Warner Brothers Studios and streaming. I'm just looking at my blotter here. I want to see if we got any new information about how much we're actually going to boost this up, because we don't really have any information other than they're looking at changing it. So just taking a quick look, I'm not seeing anything in there. So here it is. Netflix is reportedly revising its bid terms for WBD, including discussions around an all-cash offer for Warner Studios and their streaming assets. I don't think they've changed anything about divesting or insisting that WBD divest its legacy assets before the acquisition. That was part of the original Netflix structure. Not so for Paramount. The revised structure, though, is aimed at simplifying as well as accelerating a complex transaction, which is expected to take months to close. Talks remain fluid, and neither Netflix nor Warner Brothers Discovery commented publicly on the report. The potential sales already drawn, though, political scrutiny. We already know President Trump has made comments about it. There's also opposition, which adds friction to the deal. Rival bidder Paramount Skydance is actively pushing back, as we reported to you guys yesterday, filing a lawsuit to get more disclosure as to why the board didn't like their offer. And they also plan to nominate directors to the board. So they're looking, at getting their own people onto the board there. So very, very hostile style attempt here. At stake is the following: Warner's film and television studios and a deep content library, including, we're talking Harry Potter, DC Comics, and there's many others. For Netflix, acquiring these assets would obviously very much strengthen their long-term content, because they could start remaking these into different versions and newer content, which obviously could be exclusive to them. Paramount views these assets as equally strategic, setting up that high-stakes battle. So I know you're involved in Netflix right now, so give us your take, Ob.
Yeah, no, I just want to simply take a look at this from a weekly perspective, right? I talked about how WBD, yes, the WBD news is more recent, but we've been selling off and only selling off since about 134. We've broken this trend, this uptrend that kind of started here. Let's say this strong flushing that happened in, going into the middle of 22, and then July of 22, maybe starting to catch a little bit of a bid. So let's just measure from there. It's about 1,075 days of bid that Netflix have just caught, higher highs, higher lows, very strong uptrend from July of 22 to July of 25, right? So that's about 3 years worth of a bid. And then we broke the trend here, especially after this consolidation and maybe down here as well. If you want to draw in some, I probably have some indicators here, some anchored, okay, so I have some anchoreds, but not trend lines. But if you were just to draw simply a bit of a trend line here, you can see we've broken a multi-year bid, and that was selling that was already coming in. So WBD happens, and then more aggressive selling. Let's just go to, let's say, like an hourly chart here. You can see the strong flushes that we started to have after that 134. Off of earnings, once again off of earnings, sure they split, and then continues to sell off. WBD news comes in, and then more selling. So it seems like participants are using any and every reason to find the liquidity to sell into this name. And today it's breaking down once again prior week lows. Prior week lows are here at 88.30. So if you go up to the weekly right here, look how clean that is. And yeah, sure, 2 days left in the week, but prior week lows breaking down. This is the support I was talking about, 81s, 82s. So that's the next level of interest right here on Netflix. If we continue to do what we're doing, if we continue to stay in this trend, 81s is where we last found the bid. But the question becomes, has the sentiment changed? Are people positioned differently in this? Right? And what is this really looking like? It's making a beeline towards prior support, double bottom support. Right? And then prior resistance all the way down here at 70s, 69s and some change. So if we crack this 80, where are we headed if we're just simply looking at support and resistance levels, right? I'm sure there's going to be a lot of turbulence along the way if we do kind of reach there, but multi-week back-to-back selling here on Netflix, I think it's kind of obvious who's in charge over the past couple of months.
Yeah, and it does feel that way. It certainly does feel that way. And you got the death cross not long ago either, I believe early December, the 50, or no, sorry, later, mid-December, you got the 50 crossing the 200, and you hadn't seen these cross all that much. The first time that you got the golden cross was in late 22, when we all know, late 22 was the start of the recovery for the market, right? You saw Meta bottom at around that time. So you hadn't really gotten bamboozlement in terms of these moving averages, but you got it here. I'm not touching Netflix. I said that very, very clearly for a while. Anyway, Adara, your take, please, on this latest tie-up.
Yeah, I think, honestly, it's interesting to me that Netflix is going this route because this maybe suggests they're a little bit scared of what PSKY could have up their sleeve. I'm of the opinion that if there is anything up PSKY's sleeve, they already would have pulled it out. I don't think you get much better than Larry Ellison, second richest man in the world, being like, hey, here's some financing. But either way, I just posted this here at X at TTV Research, very serendipitous timing. This basically compares, as of right now, the Netflix deal to the most recent Paramount deal. One other thing I want to mention here with regards to why I think, PSKY can keep trying, but I don't know if it's going to be successful. Warner Brothers and Netflix, I just discovered this. They have a website for their merger, guys. It's called WBD plus NFLX together. It's the funniest thing I've ever seen. They've got a photo here of Harry Potter and the girl from Stranger Things all together. It's a nice, happy marriage. So the point I'm trying to make is Netflix and Warner Brothers are very, very, very invested in this deal going through. I think if anything like NFLX, sure, that might make them look a bit scared, as I just mentioned, but I think doing the cash deal shows we are committed, whatever we have to do to get this proposal through and to shut up PSKY, we're going to do it. Check out the website. I'll drop the link in the chat if anyone's curious. But yeah, I think there's obvious commitment there, and NFLX is not going to go down without a fight, nor is WBD. We also just got the Fed beige book out.
Thank you very much for that. All right, Ob, it's great having you on. You're going to be on for the rest of the week.
Yes.
So it's Obi and I on the midday until Friday. We're hoping Joey Options is doing well. I'm going to shoot your boy a text right now, and hopefully we'll get back to you guys, and we'll let you know how Joey Options is doing. But for myself and Ob, take off. See you guys same bat time, same bat channel. Big boys are that way.